You're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. This is Breaking the Ice, the NHL Draft special. The time has come. The calm before the storm is now officially over. We are in the storm. Boys, I'm joined by Devils Report, Daniel Amoia. Daniel, give me a shout. How you doing?
Hey, how we doing? I'm super pumped. Got a big night ahead of us. Excited to call this live. And we'll see how it goes. A lot of interesting developments tonight.
Making his Breaking the Ice debut on the board, Cam Martin. Cam, how we doing?
What up, fellas? It's good to be out here. So far, doing really well. And, for someone that doesn't know much hockey, I know one thing, and I know that the Penguins have to go in this all hockey right there.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And also making his Breaking the Ice debut, we got Ryan Miller. How you doing, my boy?
Good. I'm glad to be here. Glad to finally get on the show after AJ's been trying to get me on here for a while. Glad to give another Pittsburgh fan's perspective on all this, and hopefully Dubas has a good first draft in black and gold tonight.
You know what, boys? The alliance is starting to form. I used to be by myself. I was surrounded in a pool full of Devils fans, full of Rangers fans, full of a Panthers fan. But you know what? We got three people representing the black and gold tonight. Let's go, Pens! But more importantly, we will be talking about all NHL clubs tonight. Everybody will be making their team better. And we already saw a few moves before the draft. First one we want to hit on, Tyler Toffoli to the Devils. Daniel, talk to me about it.
Yeah, that was big. I just want to give a shout to everyone listening on Devils Report right now. We got a few people in there. Tyler Toffoli for Yegor Sharangovich and a third-round pick. Tom Fitzgerald continues to be the fleece master. It's really been exciting to watch him do his thing this offseason. Tyler Toffoli, 73-point scorer last year, 34 goals. Basically a carbon copy of Timo Meier, but he's righty in terms of production last season. And the fact that he's a Devil now, and we inked up Timo today, everything's looking good in Jersey. I'm pumped.
Yep. When myself and Ryan, we were talking about this trade on the car way home, on the car way up to here. You know what? What's a word that was really thrown in? Leverage. I would say Ryan made a really good point about leverage. So you know what? Let's expand on that a little bit on why this trade happened and why Tyler Toffoli is a New Jersey Devil.
Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about how the public comments that were made, not necessarily by Toffoli, but just that he intended on leaving after his contract was up. And when that happens, it basically takes away the team's leverage to, get the maximum amount of value that they would want to get out of a deal for a player like that who is a top six guy. Like, Toffoli, in an ideal world, would have returned a prospect and a first-round pick, but because everybody knew that his intentions were that he was going to leave, Calgary lost that leverage, and I think Calgary views Sharangovich pretty highly because they did give him a contract extension today, 2 years, $3.1 million per year, which is a pretty good price for a guy like that. So I think that I lost my train of thought there. I'm sorry, boys.
It's all good. Another team that made some headlines over the last 48 hours were the Colorado Avalanche, making two trades, first acquiring Ross Colton and then sending off Alex Newhook to the Montreal Canadiens. Boys, we'll break these down one by one. We'll start with the Alex Newhook trade. Daniel, what's your thoughts?
It was kind of an odd move. I don't know why they'd give up on Newhook, who's very young, and he played in their top six last year. I know he didn't get the immediate results, but it's still a very strange deal to me.
Ryan, what did you think about that? What did you think about that deal when the news broke?
I have a similar sentiment to that of Daniel's, but I also think that their cap situation, and I'm not sure if he's an RFA or he has one more year, but I think that was something that they were looking at when they made this deal, was their cap situation and their future with that.
I believe he is an RFA this deal. I believe that he was traded for with his RFA rights. Another Colorado trade that was made today, Ross Colton, acquiring him from the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm going to start with Ryan again on this. We'll start with him on this one. Ryan, what was your thoughts on this move?
The Jersey boy, Ross Colton, he's a really solid player. I think that was a really solid trade for Colorado. But again, I just wonder, how they're going to fit this into their cap, because it's tough. They're in a tough spot, and they're going to have to replace Landeskog because I don't think he's coming back anytime soon. but I really like the move from a player standpoint. Like, Ross Colton is a very good player, very productive player, was a very productive player on those Tampa teams, and I like the move a lot for Colorado.
Dano, what about you?
I mean, he basically hit the nail on the head. He said everything I want to say. I took the words right out of my mouth.
All right, and a move that three of us on this panel were very happy about when the news broke. Riley Smith traded from the defending Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights to the Pittsburgh Penguins for Mike Tyler Toffoli, a third-round pick. You know what? I know you want to go crazy. I know you see you're itching about talking about this trade. I know you want to go crazy about it. Ryan, once again, spew.
I think it's a really good trade for the Penguins. Riley Smith, he had 56 points last year, 14 in the playoffs, still a very productive player, and I think this trade spells the end of Jason Zucker's tenure in Pittsburgh. I read something today that Kyle Dubas had indicated that any of the free agents he was going to replace, he would have those replacements done by July 1st, and I think that this is Jason Zucker's replacement, and I think he did a really good job because Riley Smith is a very similar player to Zucker, but he adds an element of penalty killing that Zucker didn't bring. So, again, I think it's a really good deal.
For me, Riley Smith, they needed someone to replace Jason Zucker, like you said. They needed a top six forward, a guy that, can drive the offense a little bit, take a little bit of pressure off of Genny Malkin and Brian Russ. He'll be sliding on that line. The move's good. $5 million cap hit. It's great. That's what you intended for when you traded for Kyle Granlund. That move didn't end up working out, like we all know. He was terrible in Pittsburgh. He'll find his way out shortly. But Smith will come in. He'll add invaluable amounts of offense. He'll be able to kill PKs, and it's just a great move. So, these are just a few of headline moves that happened before the draft, but now getting into the draft, and I'm going to break this out to the entire panel.
Connor Bedard.
Best name in hockey.
Yep. So, boys, give me one storyline tonight that you're looking forward to. And Connor Cupen, I'm going to start with you on this one, the host of Breaking the Ice.
How's it going, everyone? How's it going, guys? The first time we ever had a Zoom member on the show, I want to ask Cam a question first. How many shows does this mark you've been on?
That's a really good question. I would say this is probably my at least 11th different show I've been a part of. And and 7 of them count for my own show, so that's probably what.
Oh, man. Okay. So number one storyline you want to see tonight. First off, we got 05 kids in this draft. How does that make you guys feel?
It kind of makes me feel old a little bit.
I feel very old that there's 05 kids in this draft. I mean, I'm in 03 myself, and I'm younger of you guys, and it still makes me feel old. So it's
Bedard
wild.
is...
And the fact that Connor Bedard has been able to do what he's been doing at such a young age is incredible. I mean, I think we all saw the story that was circulating of him training when he was 15 years old with Connor McDavid, was on a 2-on-1 with McDavid, looked him off, and scored. It's like that. That's a whole different world right there. As a 15-year-old to look off basically the greatest player in the world on a 2-on-1 with him, I mean, that takes some you-know-what, guys, but
yeah,
incredible. I'm really excited to, I mean, it's just a formality, the Blackhawks addressing the pick. We all know where he's going. We see everyone in the Connor Bedard jerseys in Nashville, but it's about to come real now.
He's only 17 years old, and we're probably minutes away from him getting picked first overall here. If he does not get picked, how much money you put down a parlay on just any player not named him? You'll net crazy money there.
Mm-hmm. I don't even think you could on books. Like Dret was betting on the number one overall pick, like it wasn't available. Like you couldn't do it.
That's hilarious, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
But right now, Gary Bettman is speaking to the crowd in Nashville. He's about to kick off the draft. He's about to put Chicago on the block. On the clock rather. So we all know what's going to happen.
I'm sure there's plenty of booze there from Mr. Bettman.
For sure. We can't hear the audio. What's happening in Nashville?
In Vegas.
Were y'all watching the NHL awards show the other day?
We were.
So he's getting booed there as well.
Yeah, so that's probably happening. So
that's some great filler content to talk about. You know what I mean? Like in between picks. Let's talk about those awards. First off, let's go right to it with the Hart Trophy. I mean, I feel like it was a lock. Connor McDavid, 153 points in one season. How do we feel, though, about him he was one vote away from unanimous, and he got a 5th place vote?
Yeah, that's just embarrassing.
I actually disagree with AJ. I think that the voter who did that was Seth Rohrbaugh from Pittsburgh, actually. And I think that he took the award by its actual definition as the player most valuable to his team. And he had David Pastrnak number 1 in his ballot. David Pastrnak had 46 more points than the next player on the Boston Bruins this season. And so while maybe putting McDavid 5th overall wasn't what he should have done, but I don't disagree with his logic at all.
No, really interesting.
No, that's wild. That's a wild take. Putting him 5. So you could give me 4 players. Using his train of thought and his logic that you could have voted over Connor McDavid for the Hart.
Like I said,
give me 4 players.
5.
That's wildly egregious. It's embarrassing, is what it is.
I'm just talking about the logic of the player most valuable to his team.
No, the logic's flawed. If Connor McDavid,
but that is the definition of the award.
Yeah, but I'm saying the logic is flawed. Connor McDavid put up a whole entire line of production.
Didn't he factor into like half of Edmonton's goals this season? I think it was 49%.
He put it in an entire top 6's worth of production. If you count Edmonton's total goals by himself.
What a start, man!
By himself.
We already got the great controversy. We already got that
is the definition of valuable. He was a top 6 for Edmonton.
I don't disagree with that, but I'm just saying that that was the logic behind it.
I still think the logic's flawed. I think it's egregious. But Connor Bedard, as soon as they put Chicago on the clock, he's going to be made. I mean, this pick's going to be submitted within probably 30 seconds.
I will be genuinely infuriated if this is one of those that goes down to the last second.
This is just
such a show.
Yeah,
this
is going to go for
10. Bedard
10.
is going there.
This pick's going to be put in in 30 seconds max. So, talking about Bedard, we know all the hype that's around him. If he's not one of the best players in the league in the next couple of years, we're all going to be disappointed. But for year 1, what do we think's a realistic expectation for Connor Bedard? Year 1, what do we think? What do you think the production he puts up? What do you think would be realistic?
60 points.
60 points?
Yes. I would agree with that. You look at
and also playing in the.
Now. Oh, sorry.
Would playing in the top 6 be realistic?
He's going to be the 1 seed in Chicago.
Yes, absolutely. But I think you look at young guys coming into the league now, it's taking them a little longer to get their footing, like Jack Hughes. Alexis Lafreniere still hasn't got his footing. It took Jack Hughes a couple years to really break out. And I think Bedard might be a little at a higher stage than they were when they entered the league. And I think Bedard will have an easier time settling in. But I think at the beginning of this year, it might be a struggle the first 2 months of the season. And around Thanksgiving, Christmas time, he'll start to pick it up.
Yep, and I don't mean to cut you guys off. Chicago is now on the clock. They have 2 minutes and 39 seconds left to submit their selection to the NHL. We know this.
Dude, I'm just so is he wearing number 98? Is he really wearing 98 confirmed? That's his number?
Yes.
Well, that's an interesting choice right there, honestly. A way to be unique, good for the kid. And at least there's only 2 minutes left and not 17 still to go. It is 7:14 now. So 2 minutes to go and Anaheim up second. I mean, obviously we all think Adam Fantilli will fall there, but look, I've never seen – I just feel I believe how many teams don't have a first-round pick this year? It's quite a few.
I would say it's at least. I think it's a little bit over 5.
Florida has none.
Yeah, I mean, obviously
and
the
Montreal
Devils don't have a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm. A lot of teams sold theirs at the deadline. There was a lot of teams that went out. There's a lot of teams that went all in. So, where do we think the draft starts tonight?
I think it starts after Bedard because you have a guy, Matvei Michkov, who can go anywhere after 2, and I think
the
that's
pick
where
is
it
in,
really
guys.
starts.
The
I don't
pick
think
is
we've
in.
talked about that enough. Matvei Michkov on different mock drafts has been anywhere between number 2 and like number 15 because there's so much uncertainty with the whole situation in Russia and stuff. We just truly don't know. So
Yo, the pick is in,
he
boys.
wasn't able
Yep.
to
I was saying they're
compete
walking up to the
internationally
stage
either.
right now with they're
pick
shaking
is
Gary
in.
Bettman's hand. That was
Yo,
like,
Cam, give me the drum roll sound effect, bro.
The Chicago
You know.
Blackhawks have traded their pick to Tom Fitzgerald and the New Jersey Devils for the contract of Miles Wood.
I'll let you know when to hit it. Here we go. With Kyle Davidson, he's walking up to the mic right now. I was like, give me a drum roll. That works. I would say Kyle Davidson is with that. He's giving the pick to Nashville right now. We'll see what happens.
Let's see. I wonder who it is, guys.
Yeah, we wonder who it's going to be. I would say it's a
who it's
tough
gonna
call.
be, man.
tough call.
It's Nikita Gusev.
I would say this is the radio. We got to keep talking. Like, come on, Kyle.
The trade is 1-for-1 Sidney Crosby for 1 overall pick.
I do it.
I would hope so. I mean, that's
I do it.
Yo, this is the longest
I
I've
would
ever
say,
seen
come
the
on.
word selection on the
They
screen.
talk for
Yeah,
like,
come
they
on.
genuinely
Moments
talk for
later.
so
I would say
long.
this is the radio. Like we can't have dead air. And it's
There we
Connor
go.
Bedard. There we go.
Bedard is officially a Chicago
And now the
Blackhawk.
draft has started.
We see the watch party in Chicago, the salt shed as they call it. They're going nuts there in the plaza. And Connor Bedard with a stone cold face as always.
You know what we could do now?
Just another day in the office for the kid.
You know what we could do now? We could start predicting picks.
This is where it gets interesting, people. Anyone on the Instagram live right now, by the way, if you want to send in questions, we'll answer them on the air. We're pumped for this. So.
Yeah,
Hello
for anyone
there.
listening on the radio, if you want to see us live on the Instagram, check out devils.report if you'd want to. We're all you can see us, but you can type in chat. We'll definitely start answering questions as the live goes on.
Yeah,
Absolutely, for sure.
Send in your questions, everyone. We'll
Dude, I'm so
get
mad I
cooking
can't
here.
be there
So,
right now with you
You know what?
guys.
Give us in the chat. Who do you think's going to go number 2?
Everyone in the chat, who do you think's going number 2 in the draft? Let's hear it.
And we'll start with and Ryan. I'll let you start off with this. Who do you think Anaheim's taking here? You think they're going Michkov, or you think they're going to go Fantilli?
I think they go Fantilli, but I think of any of the GMs in the top 6 or 7, if anybody has the leash to take a guy like Michkov, and I saw Elliot Freeman talk about this too, I think it's Anaheim because they have so many good young prospects in their system. I think if anybody has the leash to take Michkov, it's them. But with that said, I think they go Fantilli.
Connor, who you think? Who you think, Connor?
I'm rocking with Fantilli as well. He's been the number 2 prospect in this draft for forever. And AJ, you said this a while back. If this was any other draft, he'd be the first overall pick. So I feel like this is that situation where this is the chance right here.
For sure. I said that a few months ago, but you know what? In a few months in sports, things could change.
Very, very
Are you going
true.
back on it now?
I don't know if I'm going back on it. I think it's going to be Fantilli as well, but you know what? I'm going to be a little bit different.
Of course, as always.
I'm going to be a little bit different. I'm going to make the case for Matvei Michkov, right? I'm going to make the case. Anaheim, yes, they have a young core. They got guys like Trevor Zegras, Troy Terry there. You know, they got guys at the building ground. They're not too far away. But is Anaheim? Do you think Anaheim will be in the playoffs in the next year or 2 years? No, right?
No!
Why not
in
take
2 years,
Michkov?
in 2 years, maybe.
Why
In 2
not?
years,
I genuinely can't disagree with that logic.
Why
I'm
not
just
take
saying-
Michkov? I think Michkov's better. I think he's better. Right? I genuinely think he's
Michkov probably is better.
he's a
but
better
we don't
hockey
know for
player.
sure because he hasn't been able to play internationally, so we really haven't seen much of him. I mean, we've seen KHL highlights. He's been pretty good.
I don't know.
there.
The shot's off the chart. He can drive his own offense. He's got the 200-foot game, which scouts are absolutely trying. They'll do anything to find. He's probably the smartest player in the draft. His
Yeah.
hockey IQ is off the charts. He's always making the right play. He's never turning the puck over. I just can't. Other than if it wasn't for Connor Bedard, I would be absolutely pounding the table for Matvei Michkov to go number 1.
Yeah,
I don't think it happens, but you know what? Let's be different. Let's be a little bit crazy. What's the Devils report chat? What's chat saying? Is it a Fantilli spam?
It seems like it's all Fantilli.
It's all Fantilli.
Yeah.
Is anyone getting bold in there?
No, not currently. But
No?
we might get there.
Hey, yo!
But, you got to feel bad for Michkov, right? I mean, it's not his fault. His country decided to start a war. That's just the unfortunate situation.
It's not his
we're in.
fault. It's
And
not his fault.
was-
His country decided to start
he
him.
fell victim of that. So it's so obvious he has skill. We have his numbers here. He had 14 points in 12 games in the KHL minor leagues, and then played 30 games in the KHL, 20 points in 30 games, and that's as what, a 17-year-old kid. That just does not happen in those types of leagues.
No, it doesn't. And you can make the argument that the KHL, outside the NHL, is the best professional league in all the world.
For sure.
And he's a 17-year-old playing against men, and
Yeah.
he's putting up like 2/3 of a point per game.
Yeah. He's gonna be a stud.
You don't see that, so that's why if I'm Anaheim, I'm willing to do it.
But I still think it has to be Fantilli. Fantilli's player comp here is Nathan McKinnon.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he lived up to that comp, because we saw him at the World Championships playing against men. He was right in there. He was a stud. He was a little slow for his standards at the World Juniors. He had 5 points in 7 games, but he really turned it on when it mattered. Michigan, these numbers are ridiculous. 65 points in 36 games for Michigan. I mean,
Jesus.
he's basically almost 2 points a game. Tommy Bavaro, I see you're in here. What's up? How you doing?
Oh, yes.
So I think it has, just with those college numbers alone, and he was a freshman. I mean, that's not even fair.
For sure.
Given the circumstances, they would get clowned for eternity if they went Michkov and it didn't work out.
Yep,
If they went Fantilli and it didn't work out, they could say they made the safe pick as an organization. So it's just like when the Devils drafted Jack Hughes to an extent, because they knew there would be controversy if they drafted Kakko, but they didn't. They did the safe pick, and look what happened as a result. So.
You know what the greatest part about this is for Anaheim, though? I would say, at the end of the day, this is a dream spot. This is a dream scenario for an organization, because no matter what, you're getting an elite prospect.
At the end of the night, the Anaheim Ducks will be a better team.
Yeah, and at the end of the night, their general manager and their management will be able, when they put their heads on the pillows in the hotels that they're staying in, they'll be able to go to sleep comfortably knowing that they secured an elite asset for their franchise.
For sure.
And not many teams can say that they did that.
Yeah, I can't.
They got a
disagree
minute
at
30
all.
left.
The Ducks now have a minute 40 left on the clock. Exciting stuff. The interview with Bedard's going on. Like I said, just another
he's talking
day.
with Emily Kaplan right now. You just gotta feel so good for Bedard.
Yeah,
I would say the hype that he's
obviously-
had for years and years and years. Like now he's finally there. He's finally in the league.
We've been talking about Bedard since he was literally like 14 years old.
And you know what it almost
Which really wasn't that long ago when
And
you
you know
think
what's
about
crazy?
it. But
for prospects, like when they're drafted, like they're talked about more, right?
yeah,
Bedard's the type of prospect that he was talked about for so long. Now the fact that he's drafted, they're going to talk about him. Now he's going to be talked about a little bit less. Maybe the spotlight's not going to be on him for the next couple months before the season as much as it's been the last 2 years of his life, right? Now he has a chance. He knows for sure where he's going to be, even though he definitely knew already he was going to be whoever won the lottery. But
30 seconds left, my boys.
he knows 100% as the pick is in. The pick is now in. But Bedard, he can now take it easy. He's going to be able to move to Chicago. He's going to have his home for the next however many years. Probably, hopefully, if you're the Blackhawks, his entire career, as the Anaheim Ducks management are walking up to the stage right now. Just this
a lot of emotions in Anaheim. This moment means a lot for their franchise, and it could be the difference between being set back 5 years or being a contender much sooner. You really never know.
And that's the thing about the NHL draft, right? It is such a dark game.
Especially with all the young guys
Dark
that
game.
Anaheim has in their system. Obviously, they have Trevor Zegras, Troy Terry, Mason McTavish, but they also have Jamie Drysdale and Olin Zellweger who's yet to play a game in the NHL.
Here we go.
These
The
are a lot
NHL
of top
draft
guys.
is cooking. The Anaheim Ducks have just selected Leo Carlson with the second overall pick in the NHL draft, and things are getting weird already.
Really?
We didn't even mention
Leo
his
Carlson
name.
is the
Wow.
second
We did
pick
not
in the draft.
even mention his name.
If you're,
Wow.
I would say, if you're Columbus, you rush.
Anaheim. What happened?
And you know what? Leo Carlson,
He's good.
He's an elite
yeah,
player.
he's an elite player.
He's an elite
I was
player.
like, he's gonna get clowned on social media now because he wasn't the pick. He was the off the board selection, right? Everyone in their mock drafts had either Matvei Michkov or Adam Fantilli penciled in, right? But you know what? This is another guy like Fantilli. Maybe he's not a risk like Michkov, but Leo Carlson's a safe player. He's going to come in. He's probably going to be a point per game center for him, or maybe just a little bit under the point per game center for him.
I would say a little bit under.
And you know what? At the second overall pick, if you're getting probably what's going to be a 2C, right? You take that.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I
in
don't
5
know
years,
how
are they
pick
going to be
him
looking at?
How
in
do
5
you
years,
pick
they're going to
him
look
over Adam Fantilli?
You're not that guy, pal. Trust
In
me.
5
You're
years,
not
are they
that
going to look
guy.
at this pick and be like, what could have been? And
I
that's
mean-
that's what I fear with this pick.
His numbers are solid. He had 25 points in 44 games playing in the SHL, 6 points in 7 games in World Juniors. Last year he dominated the Swedish Junior Leagues, 27 points in 14 games. But I don't know. There's still a few question marks with him. His player comp is Ryan O'Reilly, which is a solid comp. But
It's a very good NHL
but-
player.
Yeah, but they drafted him over a guy whose player comp was Nathan McKinnon.
Another
And
player comp that they're using on ESPN right now, Pierre-Luc Dubois. He's a
it's
solid 2C.
players. We're
A
not
solid
saying Leo
2C.
Carlson's going to be
And listen,
bad.
that's
but when you
another
have
that's another trade we can get
potentially
to.
a borderline star in Adam Fantilli and the numbers he was putting up. I don't know how you pass up on that. I am just genuinely perplexed right now.
And you know
Let's
what?
talk about Columbus getting the choice of Fantilli right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's another top
Columbus might have
talent
just
that
had
ends up
Adam
in the
Fantilli
Metro Division.
fall in their lap.
Fantilli gets to
That
play
is
with Kent
painful.
Johnson and Johnny Gaudreau and Kirill Marchenko.
Or
All those
I would
guys
say, or
are
whatever they do
elite
with Patrick Laine
players.
as well. Like they're building themselves. Columbus, man. They made a few trades in the beginning of the offseason. They got 2 defensemen. They're going to get elite player at Adam Fantilli, and you know, Columbus. They might not make the playoffs this year. They're going to be a real thorn in people's sides this season. They're going to be a team that's going to make you work. That's this year, and you know what? Columbus, man, if you're a Blue Jackets fan, you got to be jumping up and down.
For sure.
You got to be jumping up and down because you know what? Arguably the second best player in the draft he just fell in your lap, and that's an ideal spot.
Columbus, after all that talk, they were getting clowned for not having 1 overall, and they might end up with Adam Fantilli anyway.
No.
They will. If Columbus passes up on Adam Fantilli right now,
If you're a GM at 5'6" right now, if you're a GM at 5'6", 7, 8, are you calling Columbus? Are you just seeing what you can do?
If I'm
Yeah.
Columbus, I'm not even picking up the phone.
Yep.
I agree.
It's a tweet from David Pagnotta. Quite a few smiles at the Columbus table right now.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Yeah,
They're
go figure. I was saying with that Anaheim, you could argue just made a blunder at the number 2 overall pick.
I mean, as Devils and Penguins fans, I don't think we want to see Adam Fantilli in the Metro
No.
either.
No, we don't. But again, Leo Carlson is still an elite player,
He
and
is.
even him going to Columbus still is not ideal for any other team
Yeah.
in the Metro. But like Daniel said, Fantilli in the Metro is not good for the rest of the division.
And
Yeah.
Connor, the last time we were on the air together, what did I say? I would say I like teams that you know what? If you're gonna fail, be aggressive and fail. Don't be passive and fail.
And like I said before with the leash, about the leash that Anaheim's GM has to potentially take Michkov, this is the same leash to
With
take
Karlsson.
Leo Carlson that we didn't really think of, but that leash is there,
Yep.
and he used it.
And you know what?
Making his appearance 30 minutes late, Justin Brady, everybody. He is here.
He is here. What's that? He is here. He is down the hallway. He will be on the mic very, very soon.
I can't wait for this.
We just got a comment in the Instagram live. I'm sitting here working at ShopRite while Bedard, same age as me, 17, gets drafted to the NHL.
Daniel Puppy.
Yeah, exactly, man. 17 and already probably one of the. See, it gets crazier though. If you look at European football, they've had 15-year-olds play. 07 kids already. So it's wild how young these athletes are these days. And as Columbus only has 33 seconds left on the clock, picks are going to start flying.
The pick is in, but before we get into who we think Columbus is taking, let's welcome in Justin Brady, founder of Devils Fanatics on Instagram. You go check him out if you'd like. Justin, Leo Carlsson at 2. What's your thoughts?
Dude, so wait, Fantilli got
they passed up.
They passed up on Fantilli. Leo Carlsson.
Dude, he was the
Columbus
guy.
is going up to the stage right now. They're making their
Fantilli
pick.
He was the guy who was supposed to go too. The whole time it seemed like.
Yep.
That was the Coast guy to to Bardard, and now
we'll run through. We'll run through your take on that. On Leo Carlsson at 2, really soon.
Well,
but right now, really quick. Also in the IG, to spam up who you think's going 3.
Yeah.
Fantilli 3.
Let me know who you think's going 3 overall.
I would say we all think it's Fantilli, right?
It has to be. I mean, unless they go Michkov, which isn't horrible, it might be better for the long-term direction of their franchise with how long he's going to take. But
John Davidson's up there. He's talking to Nashville right now. He's about to make the pick.
Come on now, let's hear it. Let's hear this.
If they don't take Fantilli, Leo Carlsson on ESPN just said he's a little bit surprised.
Yeah, dumb.
I wonder why.
Wow, man.
Everyone in the chat saying Fantilli. We got one Will Smith. I don't think he's going that early.
One Will Smith.
Yeah, I'm getting the tweets.
And here we go.
I'm getting the tweets right now. We'll let him say it.
The Columbus Blue Jackets have selected Adam Fantilli with the 3rd overall selection in the NHL Draft.
Yeah, we had a bit, and really quickly, as he was getting picked, I just thought about this. We had a big surprise last year in the NHL Draft, too, which with Slavkovsky going number 1 as well.
Yeah.
I would say we have another one this year, Leo Carlsson. So, Justin, I didn't mean to cut you off before they were coming up to make the pick. But let's get your thoughts on Leo Carlsson really quick before we dive into the Fantilli selection. What's your thoughts? How you feeling about it?
I mean, I don't think it's that great of a pick for Anaheim. You have Fantilli on the board. The guy's a center from Michigan. I mean, he was probably one of the top players in going to this draft. Probably the closest guy to Bedard. Bedard's obviously generational talent, but this guy's right next level and stuff like that. And the fact that they pass on him, we saw what Seattle did last year with taking Shane Wright 4th overall. 3 teams skipped over them. So I don't know. I don't know if it'll pan out well for them. But Columbus. I don't know. Good for them. Obviously, that's not good for my New Jersey Devils. You don't want a guy like Fantilli in the Metro Division. So, the guy's lethal.
I do not want to have to deal with Adam Fantilli in the Metro Division.
Nope.
For the next decade.
Too bad.
He's going to score on a few Damon Severson spring passes on breakaways. You could count that for sure.
It's going to happen. If you're Columbus, you're feeling great.
I can't get over Anaheim right now. And we're now to number 4, and Michkov is still on the board. So this is a guy that was surefire 2nd overall before the global conflict with Russia began.
Yeah.
And now he's slipping. And we talked about this earlier. It's going to be very interesting to see how far he slips, because when you don't play in international competitions, that hurts your draft stock, and especially when you're locked up to a KHL contract for the next 3 years.
Yeah, I think Michkov could go legitimately anywhere now. There's no predicting, no telling where he's going to go. I don't think he falls outside of the top 15, but being a Pittsburgh fan, I've seen a couple mock drafts that have him fall all the way to 14 where the Pittsburgh is. And I doubt that's going to happen. Highly doubt that's going to happen.
If Michkov,
but he could go anywhere.
If Matvei Michkov is a Pittsburgh Penguin at the end of the night, I might stop watching hockey.
Nah, you'll never stop. Stop lying.
You got 3 people on this panel that'd be very, very happy. You got 3 people on this panel that'd be very happy.
We just got to comment on the live. Fantilli looks like a younger Nico Hischier. I kind of see it. I can't lie.
I'm not going to lie. I don't see it.
I don't see that.
I see it.
I
see it. I can't lie.
I don't see that at all.
I think that's a bit of a reach, Daniel. Not gonna lie.
I see it in his smile, but that's just me. Maybe I'm seeing things. I don't know.
Hey, can we talk about how the NHL and the production on ESPN has been so much better right now? They've made 3 picks, and it's just after 7:30. That's good progress for them.
For them.
For them, yeah.
Not that impressive. I don't know, man.
Dude, but I've never watched the NHL draft like this before. I feel like this is the best I've ever watched the NHL draft in my entire life, I feel. Usually it was on NHL Network, but this has a much bigger audience, and it's so much more. It looks so much more prominent.
All right. Yep, I completely agree. All right, now let's talk about San Jose as they have 2 minutes and 30 seconds to make their selection. What's going to go here? What's happening? Now is really where we start cooking. I mean, we weren't cooking before. We are now.
I could see Will Smith here.
Will Smith.
I can as well.
I'm saying Will Smith as well because I think you lose a guy like Timo Meyer, you're not going to go after a guy like Michkov who doesn't have that much size and weight to him. I think you kind of want to get a guy that 6 foot. What does he weigh? 181. I mean, guy.
And
center.
he'll grow into his frame as well.
And I don't know if San Jose is going to be patient waiting for Michkov for a few years here, so I don't know.
The thing is, San Jose, I think we could all agree they're not going to be contenders anytime soon. I don't think it would hurt them necessarily if they drafted Michkov. However, I think Will Smith here is the more practical answer.
I just want to show you guys a picture really quick. Bedard right now, he might be signing his ELC at the draft table.
That'd be fun.
Oh, come on, you're
Jack
lying.
Hughes didn't
I
even
was
do
like,
that
Connor,
when he got drafted.
I'll text the tweet in the group chat. But yeah, he might
that's
be signing
amazing.
signing his ELC.
If Bedard is just signing the ELC right now, like, you didn't even get to meet everyone officially. They're just like, yeah, pen to paper, buddy. Like,
pen to paper with that.
I mean, he deserves it. It's not like they're not going to sign him to an ELC. Might as well get it done.
All right,
it's a formality.
So we saw one off the rails pick, right? In Leo Carlson. Give me one player here at 4 that you could realistically see get taken that you think would be just a complete off-the-grid pick that we thought Leo Carlson was at 2.
I think we could go Dalibor Dvorsky. In all honesty, we've seen some crazy things over the years in the drafts. I'm not saying I think it's going to happen, but there's this weird general manager tendency for guys that are over 6 foot and are highly ranked forward to just do something weird and think they're going to pan out. So, I mean, he really showed out at the World Juniors and through his league in Sweden. I don't think he should be that high, but we've seen weirder in the draft, let's put it that way.
I could also see David Reinbacher here. Last year, San Jose took William Eklund, a defensive-minded center from Sweden, highly skilled, but, again, defensive-minded, who's not there yet. I could see David Reinbacher here.
Yep.
I would say Reinbacher as well because now you're looking at Erik Karlsson possibly. There's a good chance he's going to get traded this offseason or at next year's deadline.
Yep.
So, and then also they lost Brent Burns in the past. I think they want to get back to their old blue line that won them so many playoff series and got them to a cup final in 2017. And they lost to your Pittsburgh Penguins.
All right, really quickly, what's it called? Spew it out. Who do you think they're taking? Everyone just go.
I'm going Will Smith.
I'm going to go Will Smith.
I'm also
going
to say Smith.
All right, let's say Will Smith as well. Connor, who do you think they take?
Michkov.
Michkov.
Connor's going Michkov.
Olivia, get on the mic.
Smith.
Who do you think they're taking?
Will Smith.
Will Smith? All right.
Here we go. The pick is in.
I'm going to say the pick as it's being delivered right now. Nashville's waiting. We are waiting. It's the radio. We got to keep talking.
It's the radio. We got to keep talking. Yo,
Will Smith is going to Boston College.
that is
by the way.
Chris
He's gonna
Greer's
be
brother
a stud.
right there.
Will Smith is going to transform Boston College.
Cam's on the board going crazy with the sounds right now.
That is Chris Greer's brother right
Smith
there.
as well.
Shout out. All right, so let's see what the Sharks are gonna do. They got the pick is in, so we got a lot of talk. You know, they do a lot of talk.
Arlo to announce
Patty
it.
Marlowe.
We love this.
Former Pittsburgh Penguin.
Will Smith.
Will Smith is a San Jose Shark.
How do you feel about it?
I like it. I mean, like I said, they need a guy who has some size at least, and that's a guy who could bring that for them. And he could possibly crack the roster. I mean, it's not like the Sharks roster is looking that great at the moment, so he could possibly crack the roster this season.
Yeah,
I just
think
didn't
it's
want to say Will
confirmed that
Smith
he's gonna
because
play at least this season Boston College, so kind of similar to a Luke Hughes track. I don't think it will be much longer after that. He's obviously a stud. I got to see him personally against Army for the U.S. development team. Scored a hat trick, including a game winner in overtime in a 7-6 victory. He was just flying all over the ice. He looked head and shoulders above the rest. And that's a very star-studded U.S. development team. They won gold at the U18s. So good for Will Smith. He deserves it. I'm still flabbergasted over the Fantilli pick, to be quite honest. Not the pick, but him getting passed up on at number 2. But Will Smith completely deserved it. He's going to be a stud. Good for him.
I think Will Smith, he could crack next year after his season at Boston College ends. But I could also, depending on where the Sharks are at as an organization next year, see him taking the route of the Pittsburgh boy, Logan Cooley, who chose to go back to the University of Minnesota as compared to signing his ELC with the Coyotes and jumping into the NHL. And he said that he saw where they were at, especially the situation with their arena. And while that's not the case in San Jose is nowhere close, just like Arizona is. And this is a really good pick, and Will Smith is going to be a really good player. But I could also see him taking the Logan Cooley route and staying at Boston College for a second year. But that's all 9-10 months down the road. So good pick for the Sharks.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, this was not only was the safe pick, it was the pick that everyone had drawn up in their mock drafts. Will Smith. When we talk about a 200-foot player, Will Smith's a 200-foot player. He's a player who's going to be able to drive the play. He's a player who's going to be with that. He's a good shot. With that, he's a player that, you know what, when you put him on the ice, you know that he's never going to be a liability, right? He's going to walk in whenever he cracks the NHL roster, whenever that is. He's going to be their number one center. You're not going to have to worry about that. And Sharks management could sleep with it. They could sleep tonight knowing that, you know what, they just got probably now the best asset in the organization. So good for them.
And we still have Matvei Michkov unpicked. I believe is it the Habs now on the clock?
It is the Habs. And if there's any team in the next few picks, any two teams that I could see picking him, it'd be the Habs and it'd be Washington at 8.
Down the road, Cole Caulfield and Matvei Michkov could be a lethal connection. They will
And
combine.
Kirby Doc.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They could combine for so many highlight reel goals. That's going to be something to watch if that's the route they choose to go. But like we said,
let's not
it's
even
the draft
manifest
now.
that
We're
to the
past
waters.
Bedard. Things are getting real interesting now, and it's already been a blast. With obviously us getting surprised on number 2, it's kind of fair game now.
Yep. And you know what? Another guy. Even if an Alex Newhook breaks out as a first-round pick that we thought he was that he was drafted to be. You know, with Montreal, they're adding talent now. They're adding talent, and you know what? Whoever they pick here, it's going to be a valuable asset to the organization. I think they go Michkov. I think they do it.
I mean, they took Cole Caulfield, so I mean, it makes sense that they would go after another guy like him. I mean, Cole Caulfield, I mean, that playoffs that he had in his rookie season. I just want to talk about that. Absolutely amazing. He was the biggest reason they made it to that Cup final that year.
Yeah, he was their offense.
And not many people talk about that. And obviously, he had slumps in the past, but now, I mean, he's a pretty consistent player, around 60-point player, and I think he's only going to get better from here. Wouldn't be surprised if he puts up 90 points next season. And Michkov is a guy that I look at him, and he could be the same type of player as Cole Caulfield.
All right, so really quickly, let's go through. Let's grade these picks 1 through 4. Start number 1 with the Blackhawks. I think this is pretty easy. Round table A+.
4.
Right?
No,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, A++++. It's a no-brainer. I think the whole planet knew that was going to happen.
Yep. You know what? That's the expected pick. Anaheim, Leo Carlson. Let's give it. We talked about it. We gave our thoughts. Let's give a grade.
I'll give him a C for now. 4 now.
I'll give you go.
I'd have to agree with a C right now. But again, he's a high-end talent, and that C is only based on what they passed up on. And he could turn into an A 5 years, 10 years down the road.
Yeah, I'd say around like B- because, I mean, you still get an amazing player out of it. Obviously, just not the player that many people expected to be taken there.
I'm gonna go
C+ for me.
Yep, same thing with Connor. I'm gonna be a little bit more generous, but I'm gonna give him a B-. You know what? They did pass up on a great talent in Adam Fantilli, but Leo Carlson's a great talent himself. He's a great talent. He's an elite prospect, and if you can secure that at number 2, at the end of the day, you secure an elite prospect. So
The Habs pick is in, y'all.
the pick is in. They are moving up. They are walking up, shaking Gary Bettman's hand as they're all taking the stage. Let's make a prediction here.
If Michkov doesn't get picked now, he's going to start really sliding. That's my
I
prediction.
hope he doesn't get
Because
picked, bro.
at
I
this point,
really hope he doesn't get picked.
Other than these top 5 teams, other teams are still going to win at the moment. So I mean, I don't see Washington taking them. They're in a win now mode, I think, as well. So
Devils Report chat. Spam up. Who you think's going 5?
Oh, yeah! Ryan
We just
Docker here.
We just got a comment that said ducks are poverty, LOL.
I mean,
Montreal could use a D-man here.
They could use a D-man, but you know what? Oh, yeah! Keep the best player available, and we'll see what happens. I'm saying, but they're talking right now. Kent Hughes, he's addressing Nashville. And we're just waiting. We're waiting. We're talking. It's the radio. Blasting sounds. You know what? This is what we do at WMSC.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
It's a first, but I'm enjoying it so far.
Carey Price to announce
Stop
the
it.
pick.
Get some help.
All right, here we go.
Carey
Good for-
Price
good
to
for
announce the
CP
pick.
there.
Who's it going to be?
Hey, yo!
Is the chat spoiling it yet?
Here we go. With the 5th overall selection, the Montreal Canadiens have selected defenseman David Reinbacher.
Yeah.
Yes! Yes, sir!
Honestly. They really need a D-man here. They really have nobody that's solidifying their top 4 right now, in my opinion at least. So I think this is a great pick for them. They address the need.
Hey, that's pretty good. Here.
Yeah, Ryan hit the nail on the head. He brought up Reinbacher and he went right away.
Talk about him. How he fits in this. How he fits in this organization.
I've seen a lot of speculation about it over the last few days to a week about Montreal taking Reinbacher, but they don't have a blue chip defensive prospect in their system, and now they do. And he's going to be a very good player for them. He's a big defenseman. He moves well, moves the puck well, and he pretty much knew he was going to be the first defenseman off the board, and he is for a good reason because he's a really good player.
Yeah, and he's not a guy that's going to give you like a lot of offense, I would say, but I mean, as time goes on, progresses, he could get better offensively. And at the end of the day, your top defenseman doesn't have to be some guy who puts up 70, 60 points a year. It's good to have a big guy that could just be a stifling defenseman for your franchise.
Yeah, there's a quote from a scout here. There's really nothing bad in his game. He's a good skater. He's a good puck mover. He has better than average skill. He has better than average compete. What's not to like? I mean, I think that summed it up perfectly. He's kind of a complete package here. And like Justin said, you don't always need that offense to be a stud in the league and to be a very important piece of a Stanley Cup winning franchise. So I can't hate the pick. I think that's a good pick right there.
Yeah. And I look at like guys like Adam Pelech around the league, like he's a top defenseman in the league and he doesn't get enough credit for it. So this could be another guy that you could compare him to.
Yeah, and we also like some people try to get on him for his World Juniors numbers, 2 points in 5 games against other teenagers. But you have to remember, he was playing on one of the worst teams in the tournament in Team Austria, a team that was losing sometimes by 10 goals. So you can't put that on him. He was still doing everything he can for them, and right shot defenseman, complete package. I think that's going to be a very, very good thing for the Habs and for their future.
Yeah, in the World Juniors, every time Reinbacher hopped on the ice, it felt like immediately he was that team was getting into disaster, right? It felt like he was hopping on the ice every time got in the neutral zone with his team moving back into their D zone. Like he never really had an opportunity to create, right? In the World Juniors. So I feel like that criticism, I agree with you 100%, is a little bit. It's a little bit crazy to me. It's a little bit. I feel like it's a little bit casual.
Oh, for sure.
It's a little bit casual, fam. But you know what, Reinbacher, you could not only you could argue he's the best defenseman in the draft. You could argue he's one of the most toolsy players in the class, right? And sometimes that's what you look for as an organization. You look for players with elite traits. You look at players with tools, and that's what Reinbacher will bring to you. And you know what? It's going to be up to Montreal. Can they develop that, and can they make him into that number one defenseman? But he's got all the tools in the world. He's got the right head on his shoulders to be able to make that happen. And this is a team 2 years ago now. They take 2 big physical, presences in the first round. They took a big forward in Juraj Slafkovsky, and now they take a big defenseman in Reinbacher. So you're seeing an organizational plan, you're seeing an organizational process, and you know what? That's what you really look at when you look and see if an organization's competent and knows what they're doing. And you see that in Montreal, so it's good signs if you're a Habs fan.
Yeah, and they're creating an identity for their team for the future, which I think is really important. You got a guy like Cole Caulfield, who's your top offensive player, but that has to be balanced out somehow. So I think a guy like Slafkovsky last season, obviously he didn't play much in the NHL level, but next season I think he's going to be a force to be awakened with. I can see him putting up 40, 50 points next season. And now you add a guy like, Reinbacher. Maybe in a year, two years down the line, he could be on this team. And, I mean, I'm looking at Montreal. I could see them being in the playoffs in 2 years down the line now. So I like what they're building here right now.
I would have to agree with that, and I also think another big, I wouldn't necessarily say the most physical presence that they added was Kirby Doc, and they have a very good team, and people always forget one name that we haven't even thrown out here is their captain Nick Suzuki, who's a heck of a player,
100%.
and they have a really good team. And last year they caught the injury bug, but if they can stay healthy, I don't think they're in the playoffs this year. But I don't think they're as far off as a lot of people think they are.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't disagree. And going back to Cole Caulfield, there's kind of a comparison to Michkov there because we remember a lot of teams passed up on Cole Caulfield because of his size. And it's kind of similar situation there with Michkov. It's not as much because of his size, but because of the situation in Russia. But there's a possibility that very good players, we know that Cole Caulfield is a bona fide stud in the NHL. And now we're at the point where we see teams passing up on a very, very good player, just like every team up until Montreal did in 2019. So it's really who's going to bite the bullet, who's going to take the gamble. We've seen gambles work, we've seen them fail miserably. And it's up to the GM's risk tolerance and what they think's best for the franchise. So gonna be interesting now. The pick is in for Arizona.
Yep.
Coyotes pick is in. Who's going to be playing?
Give us a prediction. Who we think's going with our guys around the panel. We're going to start with Connor.
Who's going number 6?
Connor, who you think's going number 6 here?
Who will be playing at Pike this year, guys? Well, let's see. This is where you can see Michkov picked. I feel best talent left on the board.
Who wants to go to college?
Who wants to go to school? Michkov can get his taste of American
Michkov,
college.
get your backpack
Arizona. But you know,
on the screen you see the.
You think they go Michkov?
Yeah, I feel like they go Michkov here because this is a team that's starved for talent all across the board. So I feel like gotta go best player available at this point.
Daniel, real quick, who you think they go?
BPA. I think they're gonna go Michkov. They're not contending anytime soon, so it works out perfectly for them. I don't think they'd be very smart if they did not.
Yeah, they're about to announce the pick right now. Justin Ryan, really quickly, who do you think they go?
Dalibor Dvorsky.
Sage about to make the pick.
How about the Coyotes management all dripped out in the maroon suits?
What is Arizona? Who is Arizona?
Don't spoil.
All right.
Yeah,
I'll let you.
Be surprised
I'll let you take it there.
All right, let's see.
Way they went Simashev.
This is a really off the board pick, but
Let's talk about it.
Simashev is a big defender, 6'4", and I've seen people compare him to prime Brian Dumoulin, with a lot more offensive upside. He can skate really well, and the reason why he was projected to go a lot lower is because the offensive upside hasn't really shown yet in Russia, but this is a really good player, and I could see him being a really good player for the Coyotes. I like this pick, even though it's off the board.
You know what, Justin? I see your face right now. In our packets, where's Simashev rated? Where's he rated?
He's rated 26 right now.
Okay. Talk about it. Talk about it.
First of all, I can't believe it, because if you're going to select a guy this high, unless there was some rumor going around general managers that this guy could really just jump the boards real quick, I don't see why Arizona takes him here. They could just trade down a bunch of picks to get him. He'd probably be available by 25. Honestly, so I'm stunned by the pick. I don't mind them taking defense. They don't have much defense at the moment. Not many defensive prospects. Really, their only 2 top guys are Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz at the moment. So, I don't mind them going defense. It just does not make much sense to me when you could have gotten this guy probably in the 20s.
That's the thing. Why didn't they at least trade back? We see here. I think it was just old school, solely drafting for size and nothing else. We have a scout here that said there's nothing sexy about the guy. I don't think the offense is there. I know people say the offense will come, but I don't think it's there for him. He played in the junior leagues of the KHL, had 12 points in 33 games, 41 penalty minutes as well. To take a guy number 6 overall when Matvei Michkov was still available. I'm not saying that
Michkov, Zach Benson,
his player comp is Dmitry Orlov. I'm not saying that.
You don't take Dmitry Orlov at number 6.
Exactly.
No. You don't take
Even
Dmitry
if he
Orlov at
lives
number
up
6.
to that, that's not number 6. You trade back. You have the capability to trade back for a reason. So, you can't tell me no one in this league would have traded up to number 6 to pick Matvei Michkov, a guy who was borderline fighting Connor Bedard for number 1 overall 2 years ago, and has not diminished his play whatsoever. Arizona, what are you doing? I don't understand it whatsoever.
I see you laughing over there. What's it called? Slide over the mic to Olivia. What's up? What's your thoughts?
I agree with Dan. I don't understand.
The 26 overall, according to the hockey writers, according to their finalists, he wasn't even in the top 30, and there are multiple scouts who saw Simashev dropping to the early 3rd round.
They ask you how you are, you just
Like, this is
say
a
that
guy
you're
that
fine,
maybe
you're not
some
really
people
fine,
thought
but
the
you just
Devils
can't
could have
get
got
into
with
it
their
because
pick
they-
at number 58.
And lastly, Connor.
And here's
Talk to
Arizona
me.
at number 6.
Connor, talk to me.
I'm flabbergasted.
I would say we have Connor.
Yeah, we got me. You got me.
I
You
would say
got
talk
me.
to me, dude. I would say Simashev at 6.
So first off, Cam going crazy with the sound effects there. Love that. And also, are there 6 of y'all in that studio?
Yeah.
My goodness, bro.
There are
Incredible.
sixes in the studio.
Love that. Love that.
We got 7 people, including you, access to live air on the radio.
This is great. And first off, this pick, we've seen. Okay, so we thought Leo Carlson was the crazy pick.
Yeah, this makes Leo Carlson seem like Einstein.
Can we agree? F.
Yes.
I wouldn't
I'll give
go
him a
so
D
far to
minus.
say F.
I'll give him a D.
I wouldn't go as far
Give him a
as say
D.
F.
Give him a D.
D minus.
D minus. Ryan.
That's generous.
I'll
My
go
biggest
C
thing
minus.
about
I
this
still
pick-
think this is a good player, just way off the board, and someone they could have gotten at their 2nd pick in the 1st round at number 12. But I still think this is
Even
a good
that
player.
would be a reach.
All right, without Connor, give me a grade here.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you. First off, this means Michkov could be playing in the Metro Division.
This means he could be going to Philly. They got
No!
a bid at 30.
So can I say something?
And there was rumors that Philly, that Danny Briere was what's it called, was starting to do
Can
his
we
late
start a
homework
prayer
on
circle
Michkov.
for
I think
Michkov
Philly
not to go to
takes
Philly?
Ryan Leonard.
I think Philly takes Michkov. I mean, they
Either
have
Philly or Washington's taking
Philly.
Michkov.
Well, I don't think
Philly
Washington.
or-
Philly has. They are rebuilding at the moment. They tore it all apart. They traded Provorov to Columbus, and they just traded Kevin Hayes a couple of days ago. They're making moves right now, and they're not looking to win anytime soon. It doesn't seem like it. So they could be patient with Michkov. They could wait a few years. They are not anywhere close to being a playoff team at the moment. So it makes so much sense right now for them to take Michkov at 7.
And as Philly, with the Times clicking down on their pick, I just want to bring something up. We're 6 picks in, and we have 0 trades.
Not one.
We have not a single trade.
I just want to share this from Patrick Bacon of Top Down Hockey.
And we don't have a pick. We don't have a trade either. Philly has their pick in.
Simashev was ranked 176th overall. He's a hulking defenseman who split time between the KHL and MHL. Even his MHL production was mediocre. His KHL production was non-existent. His draft rank, his chance of becoming a star is 0%. Chance of becoming an NHLer, 6%. And that's a guy who's picked at 6 overall.
All right.
I'm
All right,
I'm
Devils
blown.
Report chat. I'm gonna give me some fast reactions real quick for you to read off real quick as Philly is coming up to the board. And guys, who do you think Philly takes?
I think it's Michkov, and it's gonna break my heart, shatter it into pieces.
Connor, give it to me. Who do you think?
Arizona just gave them a gift.
I agree with Michkov as well because someone has to do it. It has to be somebody, and here we go.
Michkov at
Selection.
7 as well. Ryan.
I think Philly takes Ryan Leonard.
Wow.
That wouldn't shock me.
That wouldn't shock.
I could see him fitting in
I saw a
Philly.
lot of stories and a lot of rumors about that. And all right, Jeopardy music.
Jeopardy music. We have that.
Jonesy up here. What's up? We got him. What's up? Dressing Nashville. What's up? Fresh off TNT.
I have to say it's a lot less stressful when the Devils aren't in the top 5 like they are every year. This is actually enjoyable.
That's real.
I would say welcome to the club, guys.
Listen, man, the Cats don't have a first-round pick because Ben Sherratt, so, it's how it is.
All right, Danny.
Danny Briere, first pick as a Flyer.
What are you cooking here?
What is he cooking here?
Police!
I can only imagine. What's coming?
Matvei Michkov.
Matvei Michkov is a Philadelphia Flyer, and I want to cry myself to sleep.
Heck of a pick.
Second best player in the draft, in my opinion. If it wasn't for all that stuff in Russia,
Boys,
he's the second best player.
Matvei
I
Michkov
cannot
and
believe
Adam
that.
Fantilli tonight have now joined the Metropolitan Division.
I'm glad Michkov ended up in Philly
course.
and not Washington, though.
Yeah, I would definitely prefer him to be in Philly over Washington, but
Philly's a ways away.
yeah,
That is true.
this breaks my heart. Now we have, like you said, Fantilli and Michkov in the Metropolitan Division. The teams are only getting better right when the Devils are at their contention window. Don't like to see it.
Don't worry about it.
I'm not stressing too much, but it would be preferred if they were not in the Metro, yet here we are. That's a gold mine of a pick for Philly. They had him fall right in their lap. I am grateful he didn't fall all the way to the Penguins. We don't have to worry about that. But yeah, that's a huge pick for Philly.
So now Philly, they got two of their cornerstones now. What's waiting to come up? They got Cutter Gauthier, and now they have Matvei Michkov. That's a great start. That's a great start for an organization.
Yeah.
Now you got
Cutter Gauthier
hopefully
is a
competent
stud.
management and Danny Briere. You have a direction. You have an organization that actually that now has a plan. And if you're a Flyers fan right now, how you feeling?
I mean,
Excited.
You're feeling really good.
you gotta be feeling really
Somebody
good.
call up Matt Orth, bro.
And we are back, 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, breaking the ice live draft. We've had some great picks. We've had some shockers tonight. It's been really entertaining.
To say the least.
I'm gonna say really quickly, give me your best pick, give me your worst pick, and why.
Well, Michkov for Philly
Yeah.
at 7. That's an absolute steal. You get the second
Yep.
best player in the draft. That's an easy one for me.
Worst pick, I'd have to say Simashev. Even though I've said it before, I still think he's a good player. Just picked way too high.
All right, so Washington, we got a minute left on the clock. Let's go really quickly, but we got time. Who do you think they draft here? Connor, talk to me.
Which thing? The whole draft so far?
Yeah, what's it called? Washington. Who do you think they take?
Well, let me take a look quickly at the prospects here. I don't honestly know because this is a team that they still have Alexander Ovechkin. I assume they're going to compete. They're going to try to win. I don't think they're going to tank. As long as he's there, they're not going to tank. I don't think that's their best thing. So I feel like maybe this could be Dvorsky's spot here, honestly.
I would say, Daniel, what about you? Who do you think they take?
I think that they're going to go Ryan Leonard. I could see him fitting in Washington.
Well, Justin, what about you? Who do you think they grab here?
I'm gonna say Dvorsky. He's a good puck handler. I think Washington loves to have good guys who can manage the puck, feed Ovechkin. So I think that would help them.
And Ryan, who do you think they get?
I think they take Dvorsky. I thought Arizona was going to take Dvorsky, and I think Washington makes the pick here, and Ryan Leonard falls right into Detroit's lap at 9.
Washington, they're a lot like Pittsburgh. Every single move they make has to be trying to prolong the career of Alex Ovechkin, right? Try to get him in the playoffs as much as possible and try to keep Washington in sort of a contending range, right? The best player on the board to that is Dvorsky. I would say he can come up relatively soon. I would say he could feed pucks to Ovi on the 1T on the circle, which would be nice. Another guy like that would be Zach Benson. I would say he's a guy that could come up really fast as well. With that, he put up 98 points in the WMHL. So I think they go Dvorsky here, but don't be shocked if you hear Zach Benson's name.
I wouldn't be surprised if they took a defenseman here. I'm gonna just say that.
Especially last year after they took Ivan Miroshnichenko, I believe that's how you say his name, who also has there's the geopolitical issues surrounding that pick.
All right, so
Ryan.
let's say
Sorry, I don't
no,
wanna
just
spoil
say
it.
it. Just say it's Ryan Leonard. It's Ryan Leonard. They
I got
announced
the
it.
tweet.
They announced it. It's Ryan Leonard, boys.
That's a good pick for Washington.
That's a very good pick. He's going to be ready and
Boo this man,
potentially at
Justin,
the end of
for
the
spoiling it.
season.
Boo
Good
this man,
pick for
Justin.
Washington.
Oh, brother,
Jack
this
Benson
guy
and Dalibor
stinks.
Dvorsky are falling, and they are falling hard.
That's good news for one certain team at 14.
Yes, it is.
We just got a comment. Where do you guys think Cal Ritchie will go? We have him at 24 here. I could see him going to Carolina personally. He had a very good season in the OHL as a center. 9 points in 7 games for Canada at the World Under-18s, where that team underperformed a lot, and he was one of the ones that stood out there. So I know he's a later pick. He's not like a star in any sense. His best case scenario is Nick Suzuki. If Carolina could copy that, that'd be a very good ad for them.
I could see Cal Ritchie going to the Rangers also a little before that.
Yeah,
that's the Athletic mock draft has him at 23. I could see that as well.
Hey, Connor, give me a quick grade on Ryan Leonard. What you think? Let's talk to me here.
A winger here, so this is an interesting position. You know, it's different than just a guy that's going to feed pucks to Ovi. They might not be playing on the same line as much, but they got to build for the future as well. Everything can't be for the present for this team. So honestly, overall grade, I think I'll give them an A- here.
A-, Ryan, what you think? What do you think an overall grade for this pick is?
I'd also say an A-. I think this is right in the area where Ryan Leonard was going to be picked, and he was a part of that top line for the National Team Development Program with Gabe Perreault, who's yet to be picked, and Will Smith. And he's a really, really good player, and I really like the pick for the Capitals. And I think if he can make the jump at the end of this season, it extends their window.
And my two Devils boys, give a thought to me. Give me grades here.
I'm giving this an A. I think you can't hurt. This guy's a really good goal scorer that you can add to complement Ovechkin already. So, I mean, the Capitals can't have enough offense. Obviously, I kind of wish they addressed defense here, I'm not going to lie, but, I mean, Ryan Leonard's a top goal scorer, probably one of the best in this draft, so I don't see anything wrong with the pick.
Yeah, I can't either. I mean, he's 51 goals in 57 games is certainly nothing to shy away from. 94 points in those 57 games. I mean, that's not to bring up the J word to the Penguins fans, but that's not too far off from where Jack Hughes was. I'm not saying at all Ryan Leonard's going to be
We're talking about Quinn's brother, right?
Yeah, correct.
Oh, okay, just making sure.
The pick is in for Washington.
Ryan Leonard is going to be very, very good.
Sorry.
He needs some milk.
I do.
But
Yo,
all right,
AJ.
I mentioned it a little bit before.
Man.
But
Yo,
I'll mention
AJ,
it now
I still
again.
have not
We have
edited.
had no trades. No trades
Yeah,
for the
come
first
on,
8 picks.
Let's get cooking.
So what's it called? I'm gonna throw this to Connor. Give me a spot to where we could see a trade tonight. Give me
All right,
me a
so,
range. Give me
I feel like our first trade, it's not going to be Detroit because there's still some great players who are still slipping on this board. See, the thing is that the Simashev pick has messed this whole thing up because now there's going to be somebody ahead of where they were, or somebody picked behind where they should have for a while now. So you might not see a trade until, honestly, like the very back end of the first round, or maybe even the second round, because everyone thought a player wouldn't be where they are right now, genuinely.
I can agree with that. Right now, you have a lot of good players on the board though. You got a lot of players that teams could come up for. I'm gonna throw it to my two Devils guys right now. Give me one team down the board that you could see trade up. Give me one team down the board that you could see trade back. I was saying, Ryan, I'll also extend this to you. Give me one team that you think could trade up. Give me one team that you think could trade back. And it's got to tell me why.
I'd say trade back. I'd say Buffalo. If there's a team that really wants to trade up, I don't think Buffalo wouldn't mind trading back because I feel like they're at a point where they're like, okay, we're at a certain point where we know we're going to be able to contend for a playoff spot next season. So I don't think they're really stressing about this draft. They have all the young pieces, and they're only getting more prospects coming to their system next season. So I don't think Buffalo's that worried about this draft.
I could also see Vancouver trading back because I think the way that their philosophy as an organization is flawed in the sense that every year they go into the year thinking that they're going to compete, and every year at the trade deadline they end up selling assets. So I think I could see them trading back if they get an NHL player in return.
The Canucks are always too good to get a good pick, but too bad to make the playoffs. And it's just, I'd be very frustrated if I was a Vancouver fan. I know AJ's went on his rants plenty of times about that organization.
I think it's the worst ran organization in hockey. I really do. I think for the amount of talent that's came through that organization over the last few years, for them to absolutely have nothing to show for it's quite embarrassing. I get Jim Rutherford's been there. He did a lot of great things with Pittsburgh, but his time there in Vancouver has been an utter disaster. I could also see them moving back. They don't really. There's a lot of good players right now, and for an organization that needs a lot of players, it would be a good time for them to recoup, take advantage of the board, get some assets. Team I could see trading up, Pittsburgh.
Detroit Red Wings making their pick, guys.
Yep, Steve Yzerman's up on the board. I would say we'll see what happens.
I'm saying Zach Benson.
Yep, Zach Benson. Really quickly, who y'all think?
That's a Steve Yzerman pick, Zach Benson.
100%, I agree.
Zach Benson it is.
Yeah, I could see.
What? I suggest you let that one marinate.
Nate Danielson.
That's another Steve Yzerman pick, though.
Benson is falling.
Benson's got to get some.
But that is another Steve Yzerman pick. He likes fast forwards. He likes guys who can put the puck in the back of the net. He likes guys who can score. I mean, Nate Danielson can do that. He could do that. This is around. So I'd say this is probably the top of the range that he could have went.
I think it's wrong with you. Yes.
I would say this is about the top of the range. He could have went anywhere from that 9 to 15 range.
I think they certainly could have traded back a little for this, but they didn't want to take the chance. He played on a very weak Brandon Wheat Kings team in the WHL, had 78 points in 68 games there. There's a quote from a scout here. I saw a game where his line mates cost him 4 assists. And when you're on a weak team, that happens. So if you see a guy 78 points in 68 games, say on a better team, he could have had maybe 100 points, and people wouldn't be saying anything about this pick. So I still think they reached a little bit, but I don't hate the pick. His player comp here is Nazem Kadri, not a bad player to be compared to necessarily. So there could have been worse. I wouldn't take him at 9. I could saw him around like 14, 15. But if Detroit feels that's their guy, he has some size too, 6'2", when he's able to grow a little more into that frame. That they say he has great skating and creativity as well, just the foot speed's a little slow. But hopefully it's not like Alexander Holtz we see with the Devils where that plagues him forever.
You just called it with some little thing you just said without his line costing 4 assists. If he can get that puck there, he can get that thing there. Detroit's not gonna have any issue without scoring at all.
Yeah, exactly.
If he can get that thing there, get a little better of a roster around him. Hey, you can get a lot of offense coming out that way.
100%. I would say with a tweet from David Pagnotta right now, talking about two teams that we just mentioned with the Canucks and Sabres GMs, Alvin and Adams having a discussion on the floor.
Ooh. All right.
I think Buffalo has been targeting Benson, and I could see them trading up given the fact that he's falling.
Before we move on, I just want to say something about the pick. I like this pick for Detroit. I mean, their forward group is probably one of the weakest in the league, and adding more size, that's kind of like their identity. It seems like they have a lot of big guys in their top 9, so I don't see anything wrong with the pick, except that he doesn't have a lot of fight or energy when he's on the ice. Like you said, foot speed is a problem for him, Daniel. So I don't know how his compete level is going to translate into the NHL. But the good thing is about him is he is one of the oldest players going into this draft, so he might be NHL ready very soon.
Yeah, it's a little concerning to see a guy where scouts are openly saying that you'd probably like to see him work harder. I mean, that's just not a good thing, but, I mean, here's his chance. It's really up to him to make the most of it, and Detroit clearly feels like they could work with that if they wouldn't have drafted him if they didn't. So that's their philosophy there. I also want to bring about another player who we haven't talked about yet this episode, but we know he's going to be going tonight. Gavin Brindley of University of Michigan. He's been talked about a lot. What do you guys think?
I feel like he's kind of he's kind of the player who's kind of like what's the best way I can describe this? He's kind of went unnoticed a little bit. He was playing on a stacked Michigan team with guys like Adam Fantilli taking the spotlight, but he's a good player. He's a really good player. He's a guy with he could drive. He could drive offense. He can make plays. He can put guys in positions to create high danger chances. And so team's gonna get whoever takes him tonight. Later on tonight, they're gonna get a really good player.
Can we get a little off topic here? I have some kind of news.
Let's hear it.
So we have a jersey review. A new jersey has just been released. Anaheim Ducks 30th anniversary jersey.
Oh, wow.
And this is what it looks like. Daniel, you guys can see here. It's like a purplish jersey around there with
Looks like the Starbucks logo.
with like
kinda.
the with the Mighty Ducks like mask in the middle there, and then it has like a little circle saying Anaheim Ducks in green. I'm not that big of a fan of the jersey. I don't know. It's just I don't know. What do you guys think about it?
I think
it's kind of garbage.
Yeah,
I think it is too.
I think it's an ugly jersey, but Trevor Zegras will still look great in it because that dude could just pull off any like retro sort of jersey.
Dan's a puck bunny, I guess.
I would say, is this you trying to?
Hey, Zegras is a local kid.
I would say, I mean, Zegras, he was sitting in the Prudential Center for a few of those Devils playoffs games. Is this you kind of like sucking up to a little bit to try and get him to play for that with that Devils?
No, Trevor Zegras would not be a good ad for the Devils right now, in all honesty.
I would take Trevor Zegras in a heartbeat if we could get him. Why not?
With what it would take to get him?
Oh, I'm just talking about just in general.
Yeah, in general. I mean, if we're playing
is this you
like
trying to cook up something, what's good?
If we're playing like franchise mode on easy here, then yeah, for sure I'll take Trevor Zegras.
That's what Fitzy's doing right now, basically.
All right.
Enough Devils talk. Sorry,
enough.
We apologize. We apologize.
All right, enough. With the St. Louis management, they're walking up to the board right now. Connor, we feel for you. You're on Zoom. Your flight got canceled. Couldn't be at studio. Kind of take charge, talk a little bit more. Who do you think's getting picked here? We'll start with you.
So all I'm gonna say is you gotta hope it's a forward because you don't want another defenseman to sit in front of Jordan Binnington and hear him cry all game. So for any defenseman's sake, you hope they pick a forward here. And so Dvorsky's still on the board. And this is where he gets picked.
You think that's who they with it? All right, with that Daniel. Who do you think they go here?
I think they're gonna go Dvorsky. I think he's slipped enough.
I hope they go Dvorsky. I'm really hoping Benson falls to 14.
I think Dvorsky's a pick, but I think they're gonna go Benson here.
I think they're going Benson as well.
Dvorsky is good value on that
St.
pick.
Louis
That's the right pick.
That's a good pick for them.
Pick.
That's one of the 5 best picks of the draft so far in terms of value.
Definitely.
They did a great job on that with St. Louis. They're kind of in that little mini retool right now. They still got pieces, but they were a little bit of sellers at the deadline. This is a player. They're just continuing to accrue. They're continuing to accrue assets. They're continuing to just get what's called good hockey players, and this is one of them. Now you have. I would call him an elite prospect, but he's definitely up with that. He's definitely close. This is definitely and at number 10, that's good value. It's a good pick.
Yeah, my only question is with this pick is, do they plan on using him as a winger? Because it seems like they have a top 2 centers already kind of solidified for the next few years here with Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas. So I'm like, that's my only question with this pick. But I mean, it's a great pick, especially getting him at 10. He could have went into the top 5 easily. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's a good pick. I'm just kind of curious what their mindset is, like whether they don't think Robert Thomas or Jordan Kyrou is not going to be on this team in the next few years here.
Yeah, and the scouting report said here that his Swedish team AIK tried to put him on the wing and it didn't really work out. So it's going to be very interesting to see how St. Louis approaches that. We have some comments here. What second round picks do the Devils have? They pick at number 58 in the second round. Another one, Ryan Sonell says, "What's up, Justin and Daniel? How you doing?"
What's up?
Y'all are clowns. I love it. But all right, that Vancouver Buffalo coming with that tweet conversation. Do you think something gets done here, or you think Vancouver makes his pick?
Oof. I mean, you just said that Buffalo was heavily being rumored for Benson, right? So if that's the case, then now he's here at 11th. I mean, you got to jump on him, right? You got to make the move.
I think
it's only moving up 2 spots, so it's not like it's going to cost you a lot either, in my opinion.
He is quite the playmaker, too. He's also a very late birthday, May 12, 2005. 98 points in 60 games for the Winnipeg Ice. That is obviously incredible. They compare him to having Patrick Kane-type qualities, but he's also a little feisty. He has a Brad Marchand comp here, which we all know what the type of player Brad Marchand is. He's pretty tiny, 5'9", but he's still pesky, and he's good, frankly. The scout said size is definitely a concern at the next level. Is he going to be able to fight through it in the NHL? Cole Caulfield did. He's even smaller. He obviously can. I don't think size is as much of an issue anymore. The league is trending towards where size doesn't matter as much. Not saying it doesn't matter at all, but it's all mostly skill and speed. That's where the league's trending, so I think Zach Benson's a great pick here.
And also, the thing is why he's compared to Brad Marchand is not. I don't think he's because he's a dirty player. It's just he's more of a type of like gritty player, a guy
exactly.
who does anything to get the puck in the net, or just does anything like he crashes the net whenever he gets a chance, capitalizes on chances. So I mean, I think that's a type of player that every team in the league wants. So if Buffalo gets that, that's really just the cherry on top here. I feel like they don't have a guy kind of like that at the moment. So you have a guy like Tage Thompson, Dylan Cousins. I love what they're building there. Their blue line is looking like it's going to be one of the best in the leagues in 2 years down the road. So I love what they're building here. So, I mean, I expect them to trade up here kind of. But it seems like Vancouver's still on the clock. We got a minute 50 left, so I don't know.
I'm surfing Twitter right now. I'm gonna say we'll see what happens.
Gonna be interesting to see how this
is your computer really delayed?
No.
No, okay.
No.
That's good.
Which is nice.
Interesting. I
But
don't know.
if Vancouver makes this pick, which they have a minute 30 seconds right now, I think that they are going to make the pick. Who do you think they go?
I could see them going a little bit off the board for the local kid for Vancouver, Matthew Wood. Grew up in the area, played in the BCHL, and now he plays in college. And I think he's a guy that's closer to the NHL than a lot of people think. It's a little off the board, but I could see it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought him up because he was getting some comparisons to Tage Thompson. Like the raw attributes are kind of there, but he needs to put it all together. His skating is not good as someone who's 6'3". But once he grows into his frame and probably gets some time in the AHL under him, or even if it's right in the NHL and he has some growing pains like Tage did, I'm not saying he's going to be Tage Thompson level of production, but he could still be a very good contributor. And that size is just a huge bonus in someone who has that kind of talent.
So I just want to run some notable stats through the draft. 6 of the top 10 picks were centers. So we also had players from 6 countries get drafted. We had 3 from Canada, 2 from the U.S., and 1 from Sweden. And we had no trades in the top 10, which was continued because the pick is in Vancouver. We'll be making the selection.
It's got to be Benson. That's my guess.
My guess.
I think if it's not Benson, this is a fireable offense.
I think it's Matthew Wood here. I think with that,
it's the Zach Benson train, baby. Let's ride.
And let's see what happens here.
They could maybe go Oliver Moore too. They seem to like centers this draft. So
they're a team that they usually draft off the board.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! I just saw it. Just wait.
I don't think this is off the board. He was projected in this area. I don't think this is off the board.
Ryan, talk to me about it then. Tom Willander.
You guys continue. Well, I
Willander.
don't know as much about this player, but I've seen him projected here in multiple mock drafts, especially in the Athletic. The Athletic had him going at 9 to Detroit. I don't think this is that off the board. But again, like a player who had 98 points in the WHL in Zach Benson, an elite playmaker, is there. And I don't think this is what Vancouver needs. I don't like this pick, even though I think he's a good player.
I'm saying, Daniel, I saw you laughing.
I mean, it's so ironic to me because we were just like, Vancouver's a team who likes to draft off the board. And then there they go. I know the Athletic had him high, but I think that's another guy they could have traded back for. None of his numbers really stand out. He seems like a solid player, but he's nothing special. His best case scenario is Ryan Pulock. So, I mean, he could be good, but I don't know. For this early in the draft at number 11, I feel like, especially with what's his name, Benson still available, I don't understand that logic.
A quote says here he's very solid all around and he seems well trained. But the thing is, like, if he's just a solid player, did Pittsburgh trade up, guys?
No, they didn't. But
okay.
I'll get to it in a minute.
Just to add on to what I was saying. So, I mean, do you really want to just draft a solid player at 11th overall? That's my question. So, I don't know. It just doesn't make much sense to me. Another guy that they could just waited on for a while here. He doesn't have that great of an offensive ability. But I mean, he's a solid defenseman, but that's really it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like I said, he's one of those guys that could have went all over the place in this area, and he's kind of one of those wild card picks. But I just want to interject the Pittsburgh perspective on this, since there are 3 of us on the show right now. Zach Benson, Gabe Perreault, Oliver Moore, and Matthew Wood are all considered home run picks for the Penguins, and there's only 2 teams ahead of them. So they're going to get one of those players.
Nice.
It's very good for Pittsburgh, and I don't think Kyle Dubas messes it up.
It's going to be great when they draft, like, Ethan Gauthier.
But all right, let's relax over there, buddy. Connor, give me your thoughts on the Tom Willander pick.
A defenseman, pair him up with the best Hughes brother in the league, and then you get this is a team though that I feel we've said it all year that they're in a very interesting spot and they're a terribly ran organization. So who knows how long any draft pick will last and how much it will matter as long as Vancouver still becomes the way they are. But as far as just a player itself, solid pick, very in the zone, not too far off the board, and taking a defenseman is an underrated thing to do. I'll give them a B+ here.
I give him a B for this.
I'll give him a C. I don't like it for them at all.
C-.
C- as well.
I think this pick just shows how lost of an organization they are right now. This is a guy who's not ready for them, and I still don't believe that the organization thinks that they aren't there. I think they still think they're in a place where they can compete, and they're not.
Dumpster fire organization. I think we could all agree on that.
I think one person on this panel can agree that they're a dumpster fire organization.
It'd be you.
Yeah. I hate everything about the Canucks. This is great.
Didn't you what team was it that you said that was going to make a surprise run to the playoffs? Was that Canucks?
No,
it was definitely not Vancouver.
No, it wasn't Vancouver. I was kind of pooping on their parade for
you did at some point, and I feel like you changed up about some team. Was it Seattle that you just switched up on real quick?
No, was that? Yeah, it was Seattle in the first half. I was not in on them at all. I was not in on Seattle at all, and then on the second half, I was all in on them. And the opposite there in the season was in the beginning of the year, I was all in on Calgary. That was it. That was probably the one you're talking about.
I mean, look at them now. They're
talk about a dumpster fire.
It's crazy. I know, we haven't gone to their. They have a pick, right? We haven't gone to them yet, do they?
No, we haven't gotten to them.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to them yet. But it's just crazy to think about how every player on that team just wants to be traded out. I mean, talk about a team that just went from sky high. They looked like they were going to win the Stanley Cup 2 years ago, and then now here they are. I lost Johnny Gaudreau. Tyler Toffoli, Michael Backlund's going to be traded most likely. It's crazy how much they just dipped.
And Elias Lindholm's going to be traded too.
Yeah.
Now Arizona's on the clock once again. They already made an absurd reach. Do we think they're gonna reach again, or pick up Benson, who's right there in their laps?
It's got to be Benson.
I feel like it has to be Benson.
But
and this is the pick they got from Ottawa. This is the pick that they got from Ottawa in the Jacob Chikrin deal. So I think they go best available, which is Benson here. But again, you never know what their draft board is actually looking like.
Yeah. Especially because they made an absolutely massive reach at 6. Ain't no telling what their draft board's right now.
But again, they just drafted Logan Cooley last year, high end forward. So maybe they're looking for something a little bit different. We don't know.
We'll see what happens. I was thinking, we gotta talk about this. Best suit game, best suits in the draft so far.
100%,
Arizona,
100%,
1,000%. They're absolutely killing that department. That's all we know.
The Yotes just made a reach.
Daniel Boot.
Wow.
They did it again.
Wow, the dead silence in the room.
Wow.
Oh my God!
I was saying,
love that.
Wow.
We're all speechless here in the studio.
That's terrible.
They did it again. I just asked you
that's
guys,
terrible.
and they did not fail whatsoever.
I can't believe you've done this.
That's terrible.
I was just kidding. Come on. You guys know I was just kidding, right?
Shout out Cam Martin with the
his
sound effects.
comparison's Brock Nelson, but
Yeah.
in his recent KHL campaign, he had just 2 points in 15 games.
Can you just think about this, right? At number 6 and number 12, if you were to take those picks, light them on fire, and completely burn those assets, what would you have done if you were Arizona?
I don't know. It's tough book.
Almost what they would have done.
The only upside I see from this pick is the guy 6'5".
I would say he was mocked by the Athletic to go 30.
To Carolina,
That's
yes.
crazy. The guy's 6'5", though, so that's the only that's the big upside I see from them taking this. But
there's nothing else that
a lot
really
of
stands
reaches,
out.
man.
I mean, he had 32 points in 32 games for Loco 76, the juniors to the
I think
KHL,
this is even,
which
I
is
think
solid.
This is even worse than the other pick than they made.
But
I would have to agree with AJ. Yeah.
I think this is worse than the other pick. And it couldn't have gone. There's so much talent on the board.
This is a nice solid F for me.
And you see, I usually like I made this point earlier. I like teams that are aggressive and fail, rather than being passive and fail. I like teams that get a little bit creative, go a little bit off the board sometimes if I like the player. I just don't like the player here. Can I call a spade a spade? I just think he's not very good.
Yep.
Yeah, I think.
I don't see it. I don't think the tools are there. He's 6'5", but when I was watching him a little bit, he kind of looked unathletic.
Yeah, I have to play devil's.
I don't like this.
I have to play devil's advocate here. There are plenty of players who have played in the KHL and not put up great numbers because it's a very, very hard league to score in with the wide ice, low scoring league. But I mean, I agree with your unathletic statement. He just really doesn't seem like anything special. I think they're just banking on the fact that he could turn into Tage Thompson type guy at 6'5", but a lot has to go right, and I'm assuming it's going to take a while to get him into the States too from Russia, and stuck over there. Is he going to want to come play in a college? I don't think so. So, hopefully they're out of there by then, but who knows what's going on. It's just not a great pick. I think he has potential. Like I said, the 32 points in 32 games. Michkov in the same amount of games had 52 points. And Michkov is a stud. So if you're saying this guy's a tier below Michkov, he could still be a solid NHLer, but a lot has to go right. And the Devils had a case like this with Nikita Papagayev. He was 6'6", I believe. In the KHL, he put up okay numbers. People thought he could be the next best thing. This ginormous guy, offensive talent. Yeah, it just didn't work out. He was unathletic. It really he couldn't even survive in the AHL, and he ended up becoming a YouTube vlogger instead of hockey. So, I mean, that's what we're talking about here. To take that type of guy this early, I'm not saying he's gonna fail as miserably as Papagayev did, but I mean, come on, this early in the draft, Arizona, they did light their picks on fire.
We talk about this, right? We were talking a little bit earlier when it came, especially to what's on Montreal, right? They were an organization that were showing that they had a plan and they were building an identity, right? Another thing that good organizations and competent organizations do is they know how to manage their assets, right? They were able. This was the pick from the Chychrun trade. They were to get a first and 2 seconds for a player that wanted out. It's pretty decent, right? The pick ended up being right in the lottery, right where they wanted it, and a bunch of talent was on the board. And what did they do, right? They tried to make a bold pick to try and send a message. Message failed. Message failed. You could have taken Zach Benson. You could have taken Perreault. You could have taken you could have taken Colby Barlow. You could have taken Matthew Wood. There was a bunch of guys there if you wanted a forward that just flat out are just better players. I think they're better players now. They're going to be better players in the future. His ceiling, what's it called, on Daniil Boot, I think he's a bottom sixer.
Yeah.
I think he's maybe a solid third liner. I'm not taking that at number 12, especially with how deep and how talented this draft is and how deep and how talented the board is right now. Terrible.
This is best case Brock Nelson. I don't even think that's a possibility. I don't think he's living up to that.
I don't like that.
Is he a center or a wing?
He's a wing.
I could see. I mean, this guy, he hasn't played in the NHL in years, and he was a center, I believe, but maybe a Martin Hansel type player.
Maybe. All right, Buffalo picks in. They're walking up to the board. This is easily Zach Benson, right?
If they don't pick Benson, I might scream.
It has to be Benson because, first off, they have two centers already solidified as their top two in Cousins and Tage Thompson. Their left wing, that's like probably their weakest position at the moment. They need to address that, and Benson's the top guy on the board. Have to take him. If not, then I don't like the pick.
Yep. And as they're announcing the picks right now, Connor, who do you think is gonna be?
Right here.
Who do you think is gonna be?
What's up? All right, man. So first off, you guys are killing it out there, and Arizona. Watch these two be the best two players like 5 years. It'll be really funny. But pick is in here. Also, yeah, best suit game. They are killing it. It's a shame they play it at college. But at least they're killing it in the suit game. But here's the pick right now.
With the 13th overall selection, the Buffalo Sabres selected Zach Benson.
Wow.
Benson.
That's a gift of a pick.
We need a pause for that. Thank God they did not mess that up.
It's a great pick. I mean, Buffalo, man, they're just
accruing young that's talent. Pretty good.
They're just accruing young talent.
They're going to be a force to be awakened with in 3 years down the line. They are going to be so good.
They're going to be a force to be awakened with next year.
Yeah, and the thing is with Benson,
next year,
I think they're a playoff team next year. This guy is probably one of the best playmakers, if not the best playmaker in this draft. So adding him, you got a guy who could feed Tage Thompson now. What a pick this is! I love this pick. Buffalo's won the draft.
You know what Benson's his best trait is? Just being annoying. He's just annoying to play against. Not only the way he plays, the way he's able to drive the play, move the puck, but just his fiery personality. You see it walking with that up on the stage right now.
There.
He's got some. I was saying he's got some swagger with that. He's one of the probably the only players in that entire arena with that's a player with a mullet. I know that's Nashville, which probably got a lot of people in the crowd with mullets, but if one of the players getting drafted, he's probably one of the only few. And he just kind of got that aurora, I'm supposed to be here, I'm meant to be here, I'm gonna get on you.
Yeah, for
sure.
I like that.
I like players who have swagger, some cockiness to them. A lot of people don't like that, but I mean, I think it's really good. It looks good on a lot of players. Some guys who do that, like Brad Marchand, Jack Hughes is another one. Sorry to name him, but he is a guy.
Zach Benson just looks annoying right now.
Yeah,
he
just
looks
annoying.
annoying.
Just look at that seductive smile, bro.
He looks annoying right now, and I think that's his best trait. And I think once he steps on the ice for the Buffalo Sabres, he's gonna bring that, and it's gonna be a positive.
Right.
Here's a pretty cool stat about Zach Benson. In the last 5 years, there's one player who's had more under 18 points in the WHL than Zach Benson, and it's Connor Bedard. And Zach Benson had more under 18 points than Dylan Cousins, Braden Point, Braden Shen, Matt Barzal, and some recent draft picks, Matt Savoy, also a Sabres draft pick, Connor Geekie, Peyton Krebs, who now plays for the Sabres. He's a good player. He's a really, really good player.
It's a great
pick.
All right.
But
Pittsburgh boys.
Arizona had to take Daniil Boot over him, so...
All right,
Pittsburgh guys, take it away. This is your time to shine.
Who are we wanting?
I've been talking to AJ since the morning after the Blackhawks Penguins game in April, where the Penguins had their season ended, about Matthew Wood, and I'm still really high on him. But I wouldn't mind Gabe Perreault either. Gabe Perreault is the second highest point scorer in this draft, and he broke a lot of records at the program this year. And he's a Jake Gensel-like player, and he screams Mike Sullivan. So, but I think Matthew Wood, I still think he's closer to the NHL than Perreault. So I think either one of those is a home run, or even an Oliver Moore. I think as long as they don't go off the board here, they're getting a really good player.
I think even another home run pick here is and I know you're not as high on him as I am, but Colby Barlow. I think I just, it just when it comes down to it, I just think he's a great hockey player. He's got the all-around game that you look for. His shot's phenomenal. I think it's one of the best shots in the draft. I think he's more NHL ready than people will give him. I think he could slide onto it with that. He could slide onto a middle six line relatively soon and be able to finish. I think that's his best trait. And right now for Pittsburgh, a team that could desperately use some offense outside their top guys, like that. If Colby Barlow was also the pick, I'd like that as well. But I think me and Ryan are both in agreement that Matthew Wood's the guy here. He's the guy here. There's a few others that we like, but if this is Matthew Wood, I'd be very happy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oliver Moore is definitely getting overshadowed a little bit. We have him on 7 on here. NHL Central Scouting had him as low as 6 and number 8 in their final ranking. So we're here to 14. He's still there. Gabe Perreault, like you guys said, but both national development team guys have great potential. Moore had 75 points in 61 games for the development team and 9 points in 7 games at the World 18s. And I mean, any of these picks would be a good pick. Even Colby Barlow, Matthew Wood, I think could be a great fit for the Penguins. I don't think they're gonna go defenseman no matter what. They're definitely going to forward.
My thing is sorry.
No, you're good.
All right, with Oliver Moore, he's a very speedy player, and I don't know if does that fit really that well with Pittsburgh.
Yes, that's their biggest thing. That's always been Mike Sullivan's biggest thing, and I wanted to agree with Daniel and you too. I can really see them picking Moore here as well.
And then if that's the case, then I think Oliver Moore has to be the pick.
Yeah, I would say the pick is in right now for the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're interviewing with Connor Bedard right now, but the camera is now on the stage. It's Kyle Dubas' first pick.
That's a beautiful face to see in black and gold.
It's his first pick as the president of hockey ops of the Penguins. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens, boys. Let's see who they take.
And his name is John C.
Let's see who they take.
Do.
I don't think that's a horrible pick.
I've seen this. I don't like it because of who is on the board, but I have seen this mocked, and I think he's a good player. I just don't think he's a guy that's ready right now. And I think that they could have gotten a couple guys who are a bit closer to the league right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of scouts saying he likes to play on the perimeter. They said the bad news is he tends to play on the perimeter. The good news is he scored 78 points playing on the perimeter. So, I mean, obviously that's not going to work in the NHL if you're just standing around watching like that, kind of like Jesper Bratt in the playoffs. It's not going to go too well. But if he's able to figure it out, he could be a great player. I mean, we had him at 10 on here, so technically it's a value pick, but I agree with both of you. With the players available, I don't think Yeager was the pick to go here. He could still pan out and be a very good player for Pittsburgh, though. I think
it was a little bit off the board pick, but like I've been chanting, I like teams that are aggressive and failed rather than being passive. Rather than being passive and failed. This is definitely an aggressive pick. He gets that one of his best traits, in my opinion, is speed. For a guy who plays on the perimeter, with that he does play downhill, and he is a good skater. I'd like to see him push the pace a little bit more in the center of the ice, but you can't deny the Penguins did get a good player here. It's not the player that we're thinking of, based on the players on the board, but you know what, Dubas we trust.
Yeah, he's also very solid defensively, which will be good.
He's got the 200-foot.
I was gonna say that really good two-way player that you would add here. So I mean that's kind of like what a lot of Pittsburgh players are. Crosby, very responsible defensively, I would say. So I mean, this is kind of a guy that you could kind of look at, like kind of a little similar to Crosby almost a little bit. But his comparison was Bo Horvat. So I mean, that's a guy who scores goals annually. So I mean, that's a really good comparison to have there.
Yeah, I don't disagree with.
I give it a B. I give the pick a B.
So
I'll give
we
it a
still
B
have
minus for now.
Give it B+.
We still got no trades so far in this draft.
Someone make a trade.
None. Ryan, what would you grade the pick?
I would grade it a B.
I think it's a B. I think he's a good player, but I think on the board there was definitely better. I think there was definitely better. But he's a toolsy guy. He's a guy that can make plays. He's fast. He can push the pace. I'd like to see it a little bit more in the middle of the ice, but it's not a bad player.
Well, we got the home crowd Nashville on the clock now. It's got to be Oliver Moore or Gabe Perreault, I think.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there was a lot of rumors that Nashville could even be looking to move up to 4. I would say we saw that about 2 hours before the draft, when I get tweeted out. With the way the board's looking right now, I'm kind of happy for Nashville didn't move up. Kind of happy to get up the assets. There's a ton of talent. But if you're the Predators, if you're the hometown Predators, who's the number one guy on your board right now? If you're the Predators at your take.
I think Oliver Moore.
They need a center. Give me Oliver Moore.
Ryan, what you think?
I agree with Oliver Moore. I think he fits what they're trying to do in Nashville really well.
Connor, who you think if you're the Nashville Predators, who's number one on your board right now? Who you targeting?
I'm still rolling with Oliver Moore, bro. Genuinely.
Mm-hmm.
They got to take a center here because Ryan Johansson just got traded.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I usually don't like drafting for need in the NHL, especially because most of these prospects, like we say that some are closer than the others, but most of the time, like they're probably 2 years away from the league, and in 24 months, it's hard to truly predict what your needs are going to be. I feel like in the NFL, you could get away with drafting for need because those players make an impact right away. In the NBA, same thing, especially in the lottery, because those players are coming up to the NBA most of the time right away. Mm-hmm. In the MLB, kind of you can do it because in the MLB, some players could come up within 12 months.
Look at all these Nashville transactions, man. That famous Tanner Jeannot trade we loved so much,
but
man.
In the NHL, like outside of a couple guys, a lot of these guys are 2 years away.
I love how the graphic on screen has John Hines in going in recent transactions, like with all those players. That's just kind of funny.
Say, third one down a going.
Andrew Burnett is coming though.
Bruno.
Wait, did you guys talk about Riley Smith?
Yeah,
I'm just curious how you guys liking that.
Good.
Big fan of the move.
I would too for a third round pick.
Big fan.
That's
of the
awesome.
Move. Barry Trotz, what's it called? Now an executive for the National Predators instead of the coach Barry Trotz. It is now front office member Barry Trotz.
Look at him.
He can do everything, bro.
He's walking with a little bit of pep in his step. Like, what's he gonna be doing? We got a kid with a fire mullet right now with the cowboy hat. I would say that mullet 10 out of 10. But what do you think's gonna happen?
Mr. Trotz, speak to us.
Like we said before, I could see Oliver Moore. And really quickly, going back to the Braden Yeager pick, a scout that I follow on Twitter with McKean's Hockey said that he was once considered a top 5 pick, and due to his inconsistencies this year is the reason why he fell. And he asked what caused that, and can Pittsburgh fix it?
Yeah, that's kind of similar to the situation with Aatu Ratu with the Islanders. The difference is the Islanders drafted him in the second round. The Penguins drafted him at number 14.
Yeah. Yep.
Not scientifically possible!
Matthew Wood.
Oh, yeah!
Matthew Wood, number 15 for the Nashville Predators.
Pick.
I think that's a good pick for them.
It's a really good pick.
I would say he's a player that's
he could be very good there.
And Nashville, like they want to be competitive. They're an organization to where with Trotz, they're not willing to go full rebuild. They're willing to just hit the little reset button, hit the little retool, and they want to compete. They see the West like.
Yeah, I just want to say
the thing is, he is playing to play in college in his first year. So
he already played a year.
He already played a year.
He'll play one more year.
Yeah, he played one more year.
He wants to develop his game more. Mm-hmm. But the thing is,
he could come up at the end of the season, depending on when UConn when their season ends.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's tough with Nashville because they're kind of like in that point, like, oh, do we want to win? Do we want to lose?
They're sort of in that middle ground. So they got to make it. They got to choose a direction. They got to choose a path of where they go. And they just sold guys like Ryan Johansson. So
it's tough.
Look, he doesn't even have.
But regardless, Wood's a great player.
Yes. His skills are not fully refined. He still is a point per game player for UConn. Yeah. I mean, that's
as the youngest player in college.
Yeah,
hockey.
As the youngest player in college hockey. And NHL Central Scouting actually had him at number 4 on their final rankings. So I think it's a steal for Nashville. I think. Like we said, the Tage Thompson, maybe he won't be as good as Tage Thompson, but if he's even close to what Tage Thompson is now, that's a steal for Nashville, and I think the home crowd there at the draft should be pretty pumped about that.
I would say if I was a Preds fan right now, I'd be pretty happy. I'd be pretty happy with this. Connor, give me a grade. Matthew Wood to Nashville.
I'm gonna go with the A with you guys here. I'm gonna go with the A. Let UConn score.
They have to have an A.
A-.
I'll give him an A.
Yeah, I'm also going to give this pick an A. Really like it.
Yep, one of my favorite prospects in the draft. Nashville, if what remains true and they're in the hunt come March, it's possible you can see Matthew Wood in the middle 6.
Mm-hmm.
Possible.
I think Calgary has to pick Oliver Moore now. He slipped all the way down to 16.
And for as bad as a few days that you had with Calgary, I mean, taking Oliver Moore at 16, like, it kind of...
It'll make their fan base feel better.
Yep, it'll make it feel better.
From losing Tyler Toffoli.
Yep. Losing Tyler Toffoli last offseason, losing your two best players. This season kind of being a disaster. With now guys like Noah Hannafin and Elias Lindholm wanting out.
Well, it's okay. At least they have the third-round pick back that was originally theirs that they got traded to 6 different teams and eventually ended up back in their lap.
Yep.
All right, so now it's the big one. Calgary, I mean, it's been a lot of talk with them as of late, man. I don't know. I feel like they just got to take the best player on the board at this point because they got nothing going for them.
Yeah, at least make the fan base happy.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, please don't mess this up.
I would say, don't mess this up, Calgary.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for that, like, just like that I don't even recognize. That's how far of a reach.
Yeah!
Oliver Pong. Watch.
Oliver Pong. I don't know where I saw this take, but I saw it. So, if you're a team like Winnipeg and Calgary, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a team that a lot of players don't want to play in those markets. You've had a lot of stars over the last few years want out. If you're Calgary and Winnipeg, how much in your drafting strategy would it be to take hometown guys to sort of avoid that?
I mean, I don't think you should base it off.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying, how much would go into it?
But they might.
How much would go into it?
Because they're low-key a dysfunctional organization.
I would say, because at the end of the day, like, what they've been doing obviously works. Like, they've been able to accrue talent, and they've been able to develop high-end talent, but that high-end talent wants out.
Mm-hmm. Also,
right?
When is Daryl Sutter going to leave?
I would say he's fired. He's been gone.
Oh, sorry.
They've already hired a new coach.
He's fired.
That completely slipped my mind.
Wow,
Yeah,
Daniel. Wow.
Boo this man in the Devil's Report chat for that. Boo him.
Daryl Sutter was probably one of the worst head coaches I've ever seen in this league.
Bad.
Whoa.
And he has 2 cup rings. He does have 2 cup rings still. He does deserve that respect.
I mean, he does have 2 cup rings, but like this, he has 2 cup rings, but this season for Calgary was a disaster, and a lot of it was on Daryl Sutter. Like it was an unmitigated disaster.
The Flames are kind of stuck in between. Do we need to rebuild or do we need to just go for it? And as we see with Vancouver, that generally does not work.
Unacceptable!
So, Calgary, the pick's in. Barry Trotz, he's looking very good without talking to Edwin Kaplan right now. The Flames management's now walking onto the stage. Dude, ESPN just cannot get enough of Barry Trotz on the camera right now.
They've been.
It's not like management's walking up to the stage right now about to make a pick.
I wouldn't be surprised if in the control room they were like, zoom in closer to his face. All right, closer now.
Come on. We were just saying how this had pace, and now it's kind of slowing
Calgary,
down
they need to go. Oliver Moore, I think.
Let's go here. Why not?
Samuel Honzek, I think they're going to take. Crazy pick.
Let's see.
Unacceptable!
There we go. The pick is in, folks.
Who are they taking?
They have traded it for Miles Wood.
Let's go.
Miles Wood trade.
Do it.
Keith Kachuk.
Drum roll, please. Dude, this guy is taking forever. This guy is taking forever.
I want to thank my mom, my mom's mom, my mom's mom's mom.
All right, yeah, hit the Jeopardy.
I want to thank my mom.
All right, now they're passing the mic off to somebody else.
Oh my God, I was right.
Oh my
Justin
God.
Justin hit the nail on the head. The Calgary Flames are an embarrassment. Their brutal week just continues.
Fatality.
Props to Justin right there, hitting that one live.
I mean, it's a Western Canadian kid. Like
that goes right into you. Just said it.
It's a Western
you
Canadian.
just said it.
We were just talking about.
You're all on the ball right now.
No, this pick made sense. I looked at
from the arena right now. Ryan is slowly walking away from after that last one.
I looked at 4 mock drafts. All 4 of them had Samuel Honzek going to Calgary.
It's not a bad pick.
It's not bad. The guy's
a bad pick.
Very good skill player, a guy who could be on your first line easily, but he could also be on a second, third line possibly. Brings a lot of size to your team, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with adding that.
Very high risk, very high reward.
And the good thing is he's gotten better as each season has gone on. Especially in this season, he's gotten better as the season went on. Put up 56 points in 43 games in the WHL. So, I mean, I really like this pick. The only thing was he wasn't that great in the playoffs.
I want to compare this to the Dawson Mercer pick that the Devils made, there's reasoning behind it. It's because he had injury battles this year, so he only played 45 games between WHL and the World Juniors, which is not a lot. Dawson Mercer had the same thing happen to him with COVID, so he was around a point per game player, but hadn't really been truly able to prove things. And when you're hurt for even a short amount of time in your draft -1 season, that affects your draft ranking significantly.
It does.
And I think that's what we're seeing here with Hanzek. I think maybe they could have traded back a bit, but who knows when we get to this part of the draft. You can't take any risks if that's the guy you want. I don't think the Calgary faithful, the Sea of Red, is going to be very happy about this.
Yeah, I don't either.
But I don't think this is a horrible pick. I think as long as he's healthy, I think he could be good. Great size, too. 6'3", 186 pounds. It's not a horrible pick. It could be worse. He's gotten comps to Dylan Strome.
He needs some milk.
And we're really critiquing these picks. We're really going in depth. But at the end of the day, if you're drafting in the first round and you get a solid NHL player out of this pick, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're gonna look at it and it's gonna be worth it, right?
NHL Scouting had him at in their final rankings. So.
Exactly. He's a good player. He's a good player. You know what it is? He's not the sexy pick.
Yeah.
He's not. I would say he's not. That's what it is. He's not the sexy pick. He's not the pick that like how we were talking about with the Penguins, right? Matthew Wood, Gabe Perreault, Oliver Moore, like that's a sexy pick. But they took a guy in Braden Yeager who's still a very, very, very good player.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with Calgary. It's not the sexy pick. It's not the player they might have hoped. But did the Flames get a good player today? Yes or no?
I think so.
Yes.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, and I think getting hurt 2 games into World Juniors is a killer, too, for draft rankings. I mean, that's where the main place you showcase yourself. And he had no points in 2 games and then got hurt. So, I mean, you can't say those 2 games are a reason he should have entirely slipped down the draft board.
Mm-hmm.
But the Flames were able to use that to their advantage. So I think he'll be very solid.
100%.
Y'all, I got one thing right now. I'm feeling a no-trade first round.
I mean, with the way the board's
surprise
going,
me.
the way the board's going and the way it's going, I could see it. I could see
No trade first round. Just like how you could bet a no-run first inning, bro. We're slamming no trade first round here.
Let's see it. Let's check FanDuel Sportsbook right now. Let's see if that's an actual thing. And we are back live on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Detroit, the pick is in. We still have a lot of good players on the board right now. Boys, who do you think they're going? Or what do you think they need?
They need some speed to their team, and a guy like Moore could really just bring that to them. Their forward group is honestly very weak, and I think they need to improve it with this pick.
What do you think, Ryan?
I would have to agree with Oliver Moore here. But again, Gabe Perreault, second highest scorer in the draft, still available. Does Detroit go best available, or like how AJ says he doesn't like teams drafting for need? Do they go with a guy like Oliver Moore, who they already have a player who Oliver Moore projects to be pretty similar to in Dylan Larkin, a speedy player with a bit of a scoring touch? So I could see either one of those NTDP guys, or a guy like Andrew Crystal, who this is right about the area where he was mocked to be picked. So any of those guys I could see here.
I would say, or a guy like Musty, a guy with the guy who can, like you said, has a scoring touch. Guy he's a winger, but he has a 200-foot game. I've really been stressing that because I think those players are the safest. I think those players when you take guys who can play offense, defense at an elite level, those guys they have an easier time translating and finding roles into the league. So, Detroit, their management's they're on the stage right now. They're about to make a pick. And we'll just keep talking. It's the radio. Yajman's he's at the mic.
Another Stevie Y pick.
Let's see what they do. Let's see what they do here.
What we thinking, huh?
I think it's one of the national team guys. I really do. That's just how he operates.
It's all coming together.
Wow.
Ooh,
Axel
okay.
Sandin Pellica. Thoughts?
I like this pick a lot. He's a really smart, fast, puck-moving, offensive-minded defenseman who doesn't just throw defense to the wayside. I've seen other comparisons with him. One comparison is Shea Theodore, but a little bit off the board comparison, Erik Karlsson. Maybe in a few years.
I would say, Justin, but give me your thoughts really quick.
Sorry, give me
one
one
sec.
sec.
Give you one sec. Connor, I'll go to you. Connor, what's your thoughts on the pick?
I mean, a defenseman to pair with Mo Seider, interesting idea there. An offensive-minded defenseman. There's nothing wrong with every team needs one. Every team needs that defenseman. It's just like a long forward, kind of plays quarterback on your power play type thing. And their defense right now, yeah, they got Seider, but outside of that, Ben Sherratt's over there, but then they definitely needed another defenseman to pair because it seemed like one side of their defense was solid while they needed another side. So this is a great pick. Offensive-minded defenseman. Love the pick. And, yeah, 5'11" guy here, 180. Almost have a similar build to myself. And the Swedish players are always underrated.
I would say, Daniel, Justin, thoughts. Axel Sandin Pellica.
So, like, when you're making a pick like this, the main reason you're making this pick is to get an offensive guy, a guy who could be, like, the leader on your power play, the quarterback on your power play. So, I mean, this is a great move, I think. For Detroit, he was definitely up on the top of the board near there, so possibly one of the best defensemen remaining in this draft. So, it does not hurt. I kind of wish they took forward here, for their sake at least, but they don't have, other than Seider, really, they don't have that many offensive defensemen, so I feel like this pick doesn't hurt. And Seider's play definitely declined last season, so they could be a little worried about him right now. So I think this is a solid pick for Detroit.
Yeah, I have to 100% agree. I actually followed him very, very closely. He played at the World Juniors and World Championships, and he was phenomenal at both. He had also 11 points in 7 games at the World 18s to go on top of that. Size... It says 5'11". Watching him play, I think he's smaller than that, not going to lie. But if that's what they say, I'm not going to argue with it. But he's very, very mobile defenseman, elite edges, stuff like that. He was really fun to watch. He's exciting to watch in international competition. He's a great power play quarterback, and I think that's going to be someone very useful for Detroit.
I'm going to say, 100% agree with all you guys. Next up on the clock, Winnipeg. They have 3 minutes left.
The Jets!
This is another team that, like Calgary, should they be thinking about taking local guys? So should they be thinking about hometown guys? Because they got guys like Hellebuck, Mark Scheifele, Blake Wheeler. Guys are starting to request out. They're starting to request with that out of that organization. Soon guys like Kyle Connor and Josh Morrissey could be doing it as well. If you're Winnipeg, what do you do here?
They, in my opinion at least, they kind of need a center, I think. Their only solid center at the moment is Mark Scheifele and maybe a Cole Perfetti, but Mark Scheifele is not getting any younger at the moment. So I feel like I keep on saying it, but at this point, he has to go at some point. Moore has to go at some point. So I feel like it has to be this pick. There's no way he's dropping this far. It's actually insane to think about. But yeah, Winnipeg's like one of those other teams like we have talked about with Nashville. They're kind of in a tough position at the moment because they're like, oh, should we win? Should we lose? They're not really sure what they're going to do with Connor Hellebuck. He's on his last year of his contract and has made it clear that he wants an extension, whether it's with the Jets or with some other team. And I don't know if Winnipeg's willing to do that at the moment. So it seems like he's on his way out, but I don't know. Winnipeg's in a tough place. I think you got to take the top player on the board, just like I said before. With Nashville, or whatever team it was. So I think Moore has to be the pick here.
Yeah, it's got to be Moore or Perreault here. I think they both fell further than I thought they would. 9 points in 7 games at the World 18s for Oliver Moore. Perreault, I believe, had even more than that. Yeah, Perot had 18 points in 7 games at the World AT&T. He's a stud. Either of them I could see kind of being like a Jimmy Snuggerud type, like the Blues took in last draft, where he's a little overshadowed, but once he gets the season after he's drafted, he just goes off. And that's what we saw with Snuggerud at the World Juniors and World Championships. I think you got to go with one of the U.S. development team guys here, and I have faith that that's what Winnipeg will do.
Ryan, with Winnipeg, their management's walking up to the stage right now. Who are your eyes on at this pick?
Just as Daniel said, the program guys. I think right now at 18, if I were in the GM shoes in Winnipeg, I don't think either of those guys would have been on the board at this point. And you're entering a rebuild, and I think right now, you just have to go best available right now. And I think one of those two guys, whichever one they see is the better player, is the pick.
Perot or Moore? Who you guys like here? Who you guys think's the better player? Who's the best player on the board and on your boards?
Perot.
On this board, Moore is higher, but I think Perot's the better player.
Justin, what about you?
I'm gonna say Moore for now.
Connor, I'm gonna go with Perot. Who do you think's better?
The better player itself, Perot, but the Jets taking Moore.
All right, Winnipeg. They're on the stage.
I agree with Connor.
They're on the stage. They're about to make their pick. Like we've seen during the draft, every single team's executive vice presidents, they've given a 30-minute soliloquy on how much they're happy to be here. We understand, but it's kind of like we kind of have something we have to do here. We kind of have to make picks. We kind of have to add talent. So at some point, can we turn it over and can we make the pick?
Watch out for Kobe Barlow here.
I like that.
Justin's already hit us with the bombshell once.
Oh my God! I swear I did not know that.
For a radio audience, Justin. If you couldn't hear, Justin just said, "Watch out for Colby Barlow." 2 seconds before they just took him.
Dude, I swear I did not know that was happening.
We're sending this guy on a flight to Nashville to sit next to Tom.
Send this guy on a flight to Vegas for $1,000 for blackjack.
The Jets get a really good guy here. He capitalizes on an opportunity. He's a really good 200-foot player. As for his ceiling, it's kind of a question mark, but he's a really good top 6 guy that the Jets could implement in the next season or two. So I really like this pick for the Jets.
Yeah, me too. That means at least one, maybe both, of Gabe Perot and Oliver Moore will be drafted 20th overall or later. I don't think anyone saw that coming.
Except for me.
Yeah, except for Justin, apparently.
And Chicago has the next pick. Chicago could end up with the 2 highest scoring players in this draft in the first round because they already got Bedard. Gabe Perot had 132 points last year at the program. That's second in this draft class.
I don't understand how he's fallen this far. I really don't.
Because teams don't like his skating or his size. But again, my comparison to him is Jake Gensel, and teams didn't like him. Jake Gensel was a 3rd-round pick, and now he's one of the best goal scorers in the league.
I would say, and I'm going to let you go a little bit because I see you sitting here I see you kind of steaming a little bit. You're on your phone looking up a bunch of stuff about Brady Yeager. I'm just going to let you. I'm going to let you rock. I'm going to let you rock. I would just get some stuff off your chest. Why not?
I don't like the pick. I talked a little bit during the break about potentially how Dubas deferred to Ron Hextall's scouting staff, which included Nick Pryor, who's the brother of the now fired assistant GM, Chris Pryor, who was the one responsible for trading for Mikael Granlund. And I could see this being a Hextall-type pick. But again, the Penguins did take this Brayden Yager. They took him out to dinner at the Combine. I remember Kyle Dubas giving a quote that he really liked him. So I guess they see something that we don't. And as I mentioned before, this player was a top 5 talent coming into this season, and his inconsistencies this season are what caused him to drop this far. And on the ESPN broadcast, right, as he got picked, Connor Bedard was being interviewed, and they asked Connor Bedard to give a quick spiel on Brayden Yager, and he said that there's a lot to like, and he's a really good offensive player, and that Pittsburgh's getting a really good player, and that he knows him really well. And maybe Brayden Yager will crack the World Junior team for Canada this year, and the Penguins will finally have a blue-chip prospect to watch in the World Juniors because they haven't had that I don't think since Philip Gustafson, the goalie, who is now the starter in Minnesota, when he was in their system, or maybe Kalen Addison, even though they were in the same draft class. I don't think the Penguins have had a blue-chip prospect in the World Juniors in the last 3 years. So I'm really hoping that he can crack the lineup, but I think there are better players there, and that's a part of the reason for my frustration. I was very high on Matthew Wood.
All right, I had to give you a little bit of time to
I appreciate
that.
that.
I'm sorry to let you steam it off. There was a little bit built in. I need you back. We got less than an hour left of this. I need the high intensity Ryan, and I saw it was going a little bit, so I had to reel you back in. You know what I'm saying? This is radio. But yeah, I'm a bit with the. You know what? The more I read about Braden Yeager, the more I don't hate it. Like, I could see why Dubas liked him. I could see why Dubas made the pick. They needed speed. He's fast. They needed goal scoring. He can score. They needed playmaking. Even though we played on the perimeter, like, he still was able to make plays. The 200-foot game, he was one of the best 7 players without at the forward spot. There was a lot to like about Braden Yeager. If you're just going off of just pure tools, I think Braden Yeager, when it comes to just being toolsy, I think he's one of the 10 best players in the draft. When it comes to that, it's not the players that we are hoping for. We're hoping for Matt Wood. We're hoping for maybe a Colby Barlow. I was high on Gabe Perreault, Oliver Moore. There's definitely, in our opinion, a little bit better players available. But you know what? At the end of the day, like we were saying, when Ryan wasn't here, if you get a great player, you get a great player, right? You get a great player in the first round, but if you get a player that can contribute, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Was it a little bit off the board? Maybe a little bit, but there's a lot to like here. You're really drafting for traits, which they got at that point of the draft, with that 14 to 20 range, and he has the traits that you really that you like at that spot. So that's my take on it. Chicago, the pick is in. Their management.
It's got to be Gabe Perreault.
Should be coming up pretty soon.
This feels like Cole Caulfield all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Except
how they got this pick,
farther.
they traded Braden Hagel, to Chicago to the Lightning for Taylor Radish, Boris Kachuk, and a 2023 first and a 2024 first. So that's how we're here. That is how Chicago has this pick. Their management's starting to come up, guys.
That turns into Gabe Perreault. That's great ad for them.
I think it's gonna be Gabe Perreault.
He only had 8 penalty minutes too in 63 games. You rarely see that sort of maturity.
Yeah, and I think we're beating a dead horse here because we feel like we've been saying this for the last 6 or 7 picks.
Exactly.
But Gabe Perreault or Oliver Moore.
That would have been a value pick for even Arizona at 12.
Yeah, and like I said before, Perreault is the second highest scoring player in this draft behind the guy the Blackhawks took first overall in Connor Bedard, and I think that'd be a steal.
All right, Kyle Davidson. He's at the podium right now.
19th overall
They're
selection.
about to make a pick.
Kyle Davidson, let's hear it.
Who we think? It is Oliver Moore.
So, wow. Nothing wrong with that. I don't think it's a bad pick, but I think Chicago, they had a chance to pick up, like Ryan said, the 2 highest scoring players in the draft, and they're taking a little more of a gamble. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. His player comp is Dylan Larkin, which is, if he could turn to Dylan Larkin, no issues there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very shocked that Perreault has now fallen to 20 at least.
I would say, but I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate here, just for the sake of it. I can see the logic of Chicago, right?
Oh, I can too, for sure.
When you're building a hockey team, you're really building it from the inside out. You're building it from the center out to the wing, right? Chicago, if they had these players close, which a lot of I would imagine so. I would imagine these players are probably neck and neck on their board with like what they like and what Kyle Davidson values. If you're Chicago, if you think you can get your 1 and 2C out of the same draft, you take it, right? You absolutely take it, and then you figure out everything later. So that's where I'm at with that. Would I have followed in the same logic? No, I would have taken Perot. But I see where it is. I'd still give this pick a B+.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with AJ. I actually, even though I like Perot a lot, I'm going to give this pick an A-, only because I think that outside of maybe Bedard, or maybe not, maybe even better than Bedard, Moore is the best skater in this draft. He skates like the wind, to be honest, and I don't think there's many better skaters than him, if at all, in this draft. And I don't think you can go wrong with this pick. But Perot also, like, he had 132 points and broke the record at the National Team Development Program.
Yeah, it was Austin Matthews' record, and he smashed it by 15 points.
Yes, but the one thing I will say about this pick, Oliver Moore, how many points did he have? I just want to check really quick.
Something.
He had 75 points in 61 games, playing on the second line. He was not playing with elite guys. Gabe Perreault, Ryan Leonard, and Will Smith all played together. Now, Smith and Leonard were top 10 picks, and Perreault had more points than both of them. And Oliver Moore did not play on that line with them. So, and he still put up 75 points in 61 games. So I like this pick a lot. Really good skater, good talent, good pick for the Blackhawks.
All right, love the thoughts there. Seattle, number 20. We keep chugging along, boys. We got 37 minutes left of this broadcast, which we're going to probably be here for about 5-6 more picks. First of all, this has been fun.
Yeah, for sure.
This has been fun. This has been a blast. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Seattle, is this the team that goes Perreault?
No, I don't think so, because they took Matty Beniers their first draft, then they took Shane Wright. Now I think they're going to look to take a defenseman. I'm looking at Oliver Boink here. So that's who I think they're going to take here. I think they need to want to address their future. I feel like they have Beniers and Shane Wright, top 2 centers. Now, address defense. A guy like Bonk is pretty good.
The way it is right now, if Justin says it's probably coming true. So
I don't know. I doubt it.
I'm going to let you and Daniel, Ryan, I'm going to let you and Daniel chime in on this. What's your thoughts on that? Without taking a defenseman, instead of taking a Perreault
I
here?
will say this.
I don't think there's anyone good enough to make it worth taking over Perreault. I think that's their philosophy that they wanted to, but with Perreault available, I think you have to go BPA, best player available.
And the pick is in already.
That was quick.
That was really quick. It makes me think Perreault is best player available.
I'm going to say, usually when you see the team take off with that 3 minutes, it's usually they're contemplating between 2 people, maybe 3 people, 4. Seattle had their Seattle. The fact that they put this pick in under a minute, what it means is that
they knew right
away.
Yeah,
they had a player on their board that they were just sitting there, kind of on the edge of their seat, just waiting and hoping that they're going to be there. There's a point that they just got that player.
Someone commented Minnesota's going to take Perreault, not if Seattle does first. But we'll see.
We'll see. What's the chat? What's the chat looking like? We haven't talked to them in a little bit.
Well, they're mostly asking Devils questions right now, which is not. I don't think you guys want to hear that, but
hey, we don't mind hearing Devils questions.
Why not?
I don't know if he minds.
Why not? Why not?
Someone said, "What's going to happen with Miles Wood? He's going to get shipped to Siberia. That's what's going to happen."
Maybe he'll learn how to stick handle there.
I wouldn't count on it.
He's not a good player.
No, I think he can be. Like,
I mean, on fourth line,
yeah. But I have no issue with him leaving New Jersey at all.
Breaking news: the Pittsburgh Penguins signed Miles Wood to a 3-year contract.
That's a contract Hextall would have signed. But he doesn't have a job anymore, so.
Max term 8 years. Let's go, Woody.
I would say what's that? Penguins signed Hextall 8 per 8, 8 times 8.
Same guy who gave Brock McGinn
the pick been in for like
5-year contract.
Yeah,
I'm also gonna Quinn Musty is another player that I think is gonna be taken here soon.
And he played in the area, North Jersey Avalanche. Played up the year before he got drafted, led that team to a national championship.
All right, but really quickly, who they taking here?
I'm gonna stick with what I was saying before, Bonk.
Ryan.
I am aware of the pick. I'll let you guys see how it plays out.
Oh, Edwards Saleh. Now, this is a guy, if we remember back to last year's draft, Brad Lambert, potential top 5 talent, super polarizing. This is the same thing. Really, really highly regarded in the last 3 to 4 years in this age group coming up, but a lot of inconsistencies in the last 2 years, and that's the reason why he fell so far. But if this pick pans out, this is a top 5, top 7 talent that Seattle just got at 20.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I think that's another comparison we could make to Atu Ratu when the Islanders drafted him, because he was also regarded as a top-flight talent. Even he was regarded as number 1 overall for a while, and he fell all the way down to the second round, and that's kind of what we see here with Edward. Also, I'm not too familiar with the Czech leagues. He had 89 points in 39 games last year for his junior team in Brno, but then went to the highest Czech league and only had 14 points in 43 games. That's the same league Jaromír Jágr plays in now. So,
which is against men, not juniors, which is understandable for the point drop.
Yeah, but it's a big home run swing here. Like it's either going 500 feet dead center or being fouled straight back into the net.
You better be with that. I mean, your edges. You better have been absolutely cooking. What's it called? Jaromír Jágr. What's it called? At 50.
Yeah, and
if you're getting drafted at top 30, you better be cooking him.
Sale had 14 points in 43 games. I believe Jágr was just under a point per game this year in that league. So I don't know if that speaks to how insane Jaromír Jágr is at the age of 52, or how bad Edward Sell is.
We'll find out.
We'll definitely find out for sure.
Edward Saleh is a really good player. I think this is a good pick, but
size 6'2".
At 20, I think this is a really good pick. I think if he was drafted in the top 10, there would have been some major question marks, but he's got so much talent, and it's just, I think Seattle's going to have to work with him on the consistencies, and that's what it says on the screen right now.
Consistent effort.
He did have 6 points in 7 games at World Juniors too, and that's some pretty tough competition.
And that team made the final.
Yeah.
In the World Juniors, they almost beat Canada in the gold medal game.
Yeah, that was a wild game. But yeah, I completely understand where Seattle's coming from. The Hockey News had him at number 11 or at number 20. Other agencies didn't have him that high, but I definitely see their logic behind this. And a lot of players drafted are simply lottery tickets, and this is one that I think has decent odds of being a home run.
Yeah, and now it's time for Gabe Perreault to be finally taken. The Minnesota,
yeah,
they need some pieces to complement Kaprizov. Their top 6 is a total mess.
I don't know who it was in your chat.
The person in the chat that said Perreault's going to Minnesota.
Yeah.
I could try to scroll up to give him his props.
And guys, I hate to break it to you, but if Minnesota doesn't take Perreault, the next 2 picks are the Flyers and the Rangers in the Metro.
Oh, no, please. Gabe Perreault needs to go to Minnesota.
I'd even be happy with him going to Philly, because Philly's nowhere close right now. I just do not want to see him go to the Rangers.
If Gabe Perreault is a Flyer or a Ranger, I might have to leave this room.
That'd be terrible. That'd be terrible. I would say we are all Minnesota Wild fans.
Yes.
And the pick is in for Minnesota again pretty quickly.
Perreault.
Come on.
Don't let this guy drop to the rags, bro. They have nothing going for them right now. I want them to keep on being miserable, bro. It's so fun.
They're such an old team, though. They have no young talent, the Rangers.
Oh, yeah, they have nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, two of their young talents are RFAs. That's a Lafreniere.
Oh my God!
I can't. I'm not looking at the notification. I need to watch.
No, I'm gonna.
Through AJ.
I'm reacting. I'm gonna look at it, but I won't. I will not say anything.
As long as no one says anything, I don't care. I need to find this out myself because I will cry.
You're watching through me?
You can't do this to us Davis fans.
All right, wait.
Can we just give a shout out to Cam? Can we just give a shout out to Cam on the sound effects? My guy's been sitting in here for 3 hours, just playing sound effects in here, and we respect it.
Michkov to Philly was enough.
I would say Fantilli to Columbus was worse.
Fantilli to Columbus too.
Yeah, but Michkov is kind of outside the Devils' window right now, so the Devils.
That's true.
Yeah,
Possibly.
Yeah.
But
Michkov's KHL contract has 3 years left on it.
But it's still not fun.
Exactly.
It's still not fun.
Yeah.
But to have to look at the board and see Matvey Michkov to the Flyers.
yeah, you just don't want to see your rivals thrive. AJ specifically will know that better than anyone.
What are you trying to say?
This pick's gonna be Pro or Musty,
All right.
Hello there.
but it should be Pro.
Bill Guerin's smart. Ex-Penguin.
Yep.
See. He doesn't take care. There has to be like a distinct reason why he's came this far.
I mean, you can't go wrong with Musty
All right. Who we taking?
Intense here in the studio.
Who we
We've been
taking?
talking about Perot for like 10 pages.
I'm tired of talking about him, I'm not gonna lie.
So
Yeah,
just take
we've
him.
been beating a dead horse for a while.
Just take him and
Just
end our
take
Andrew
misery.
Crystal is still on the board. I could see that here. Andrew
Is he
Crystal.
gonna call it? Oh my god.
Oh, drum roll, please.
Hit the
Let's
drum
see.
roll.
Charlie Stramel.
God.
What is going on?
I'm not gonna lie, I have zero clue who that is.
He plays at Wisconsin.
I'm gonna keep it real
Little
with you
off
guys.
the board.
U.S. What was he? Did he? I believe he played for U.S.
Yes,
program,
he
right?
played for the program a year. He was in 04, who wasn't eligible to be
There
drafted
he is.
Yeah, and we're,
until this year, but had a decent year at Wisconsin this year. But I don't know. I think this is a little off the board. But Billy G likes his college guys, so I can see this. I can see, that's why I see this pick. I think if he really wanted a college guy, Gavin Brindley would have been a better pick, but Stramel is one of those guys who's just got a motor that doesn't stop, and I think that was what Bill Guerin was going for here.
I think if you're doing that, you got to go Gavin Brindley. That's just me.
I agree with you.
From what I'm reading here, it seems like the potential's there, but just the execution's not there. It seems like he had a really disappointing freshman season with Wisconsin. So, I mean, I'm surprised he's taken this early. He's 39 on the board that Daniel gave me, so
All right.
pretty shocking here.
But boys, we're at a firing range now. We got the Flyers. We got the Rangers. This ain't good.
It's a deep breath.
I just want to say not to beat the dead horse, but at the same age, Perot for the U.S. program, Perot played, I believe, 25 more games than Stramel and had 100 more points.
Yeah.
And they went Stramel. I mean, it's not shade to Stramel, but it's really blown my mind how he keeps falling and falling and falling.
I wonder if there's something that came up in interviews or
that's exactly what I was saying. I said if they don't draft him right now, which obviously they didn't, there has to be a distinct reason why he's fallen this far.
And I agree with Daniel, and I don't think it's because of a lack of skill. Well, it's definitely not because of a lack of skill, but the knocks on him are skating and size. But again, that's the same knocks on that were all over Zach Benson, and the Sabres grabbed him as soon as they could.
He's not undersized. Like, he's 5'11".
Yeah, but he's not very. From what I understand, he's not very built.
Yeah, he's
not. He's not.
He's not. For sure.
Yeah, 5'11", 165.
I mean,
they're kind of similar to Jack Hughes, size-wise.
Yeah, he was born May 7, 2005. I mean, he could definitely build into that, I think. But I don't know. There could definitely be. We're none of us are in the interview room, right? We don't know what's going on. They ask these questions. David Reinbacher said they asked him a question: if you were in a world war and your teammates had to be saved by boat, like something ridiculous like that, would you kill them or something like that? I don't remember the exact terminology, but they ask guys some pretty crazy questions in these rooms, and some guys might fold under that pressure, and that could be a big red flag to NHL GMs and scouting departments. So, like I said, we don't know exactly what's going on in that case, but it's going to be interesting to see.
Guys, I got bad news. Not only did Philly make their pick, they made it really fast. They made their pick really, really fast. They did not hesitate. So, like we said with Seattle, like, and it did not end up becoming true, but there was a player that they were just sitting there waiting and fell to them, and I think we know who that player might be.
Yeah, probably
Perot.
the best graphic designer in the game, Vittorio Designs. Vic has joined. It's crazy here.
Yeah, I think Philly would be really smart to go
I think
Perot
so as
here.
well.
I mean, he's the best player available, and they
Michkov
have
and
Cutter
Perot would
Gauthier
be-
in their system already.
Yeah.
So.
Michkov and Perot would be a heck of a draft for Philly.
Yes, it would.
I'd be ecstatic if I was a Flyers fan.
Yeah, and Perot is going to beat Michkov to the NHL, as crazy as that sounds, but he will because of the contract situation and the geopolitical issues with Russia and Michkov. But the Flyers management are walking up to the stage right now, and that, like AJ said, that pick was made very quickly.
So we'll see
We've
what happens.
seen some crazy stuff this draft, though.
And I believe this pick originally belonged to LA and
It
was part of the
deal.
Provorov deal.
Mm-hmm. I mean that music is perfect for that. If Ivan Provorov turns into Gabe Perot, hit it again. I was like that would be what Columbus would be turning into.
Last season, him and Gabriel Perot were line mates at Boston College.
There you go.
They will be. They will be
now
next year.
Now
yeah.
be line mates in Philly.
Yeah.
That'd be something.
All right, Danny Briere.
It's so obvious.
And it looks like we're not taking
Just
forever
tell
with
us-
these picks anymore,
just
which is
tell
nice.
us
that was
now.
quick. Oh, I said him earlier.
Oliver
All right,
Baldwin.
we're halfway there. Now just the
No,
Rangers
no,
gotta let him go, and
no.
we're good.
No.
This is worse.
This is
If
worse.
Perot
I don't,
gets
I don't
this
like
is
seeing
worse.
Ranger fans
It,
happy.
it could
Perot
be
is
worse,
a
but we don't know
2-year
what they're gonna do.
I mean,
Perot is at minimum a 2-year project. He's not going to be ready, and the Rangers' window is
That's true.
closing
Very
ever
quickly.
so slightly as the years go on.
I'm also
but
talking about the fact that we hate the Rangers more than with the
yeah,
Flyers. Both of us.
as me personally, I hate the Rangers more than any other team in the NHL, including Washington and Philly. So I don't like the Rangers at all. But let's talk about the pick.
Respect.
What are the thoughts on the pick?
Good defenseman.
I like it. So he can create offense. He's for my criticism of him is he comes up a little bit too much in the play, and it comes to hurt him. He was able to get away with it playing in the OHL. It's gonna be a real learning curve and a real test in his development. Can they get that cleaned up? If they can, they're getting a really good player, and if not, it's going to be one of those first-round picks that we think has high upside, but he'll kind of flame out.
It's kind of funny. According to the Hockey News rankings, the players 17 through 24, only one of them has gotten drafted so far. That's Nate Danielson by Detroit. So we have 7 of the 8 players who are ranked in this range who are still undrafted yet, and I think that's what happens when you have a loaded draft like this, and you have guys in the 30s and 40s who can still be solid NHL players. So that's been a pretty cool development, and now
Look at the back of his jersey. They definitely just put that on last second.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
They use like the purple glue stick.
It's like when your favorite player leaves to go to another team, and then you take a piece of duct tape and with a number and because jerseys.
Oh, look who's on the screen.
Oh God.
Hey,
Tom Fisher,
Mr.
build
Fitz,
a statue.
we need a round of
Build
applause.
a statue.
Tom Fitzgerald.
Every time as a Pittsburgh fan, I see the Devils making a really good trade, which they've done a lot of recently. I just think back to 2016 when the Penguins management group, besides Jim Rutherford, was Tom Fitzgerald, Bill Guerin, and Jason Botterill. All 3 of those guys Botterill's not anymore, but have gone on to be GMs and really good GMs at that.
Yeah, so Fitzy's laughing, smiling here. He's having a good time.
And he's not done. Apparently they're trying to get a goalie now. according to reports.
I talked about this a little bit off the air before we got in here, but saw some reports of the Devils trying to go after Hellebuck. I don't think that'd be wise for them because I think Winnipeg has all the leverage in that situation, and I think Winnipeg would want a guy like Dawson Mercer or a young guy from the Devils, and the Devils would not be smart to part with that guy. I think Akira Schmid is a really good goalie, and yes, he's young, but sometimes you got to bank on that. 2016, I know Pittsburgh perspective again, but they banked on Matt Murray, and he delivered 2 rings, so remains to be seen what they do, but the Devils have a really, really good team, and Tom Fitzgerald has been making some really good moves lately.
Enough.
It's tough.
You know the rule on this show?
Huh?
You know the rule on this show?
I'm giving an honest perspective.
I
know it's
appreciate
the first time, but I'm giving
I
an
appreciate
honest
that.
perspective.
But there's a rule on this show. If you're not a Devils fan, you do everything you possibly can to not give them their flowers. That's the
from the
rule
guy
on the show.
that is coming from the mouth of the guy who said the Devils are the best team remaining in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
You know why I said that, right?
Yeah, because he wanted to jinx it.
And it
he
worked.
knew it the whole time.
And it worked.
They did get worked by Carolina.
And it worked. I said at the beginning of the you didn't actually think I meant that.
No.
Huh?
I didn't think you meant that at all.
Oh, absolutely not. When we played Breaking the Street later in the day, the Devils were getting obliterated in Game 1. I was letting you know.
You're so funny,
AJ.
You're so funny.
I was letting you know. But back on business.
Rangers.
If the Rangers don't go Perreault, if they don't go Perreault, I could see Gavin Brindley here.
No Perreault.
Because they think
Brindley,
he's closer. He's a little bit closer to the NHL than Perreault is.
I want to be able to like Gavin Brindley, so please. Pick is in. I'm not looking at my phone. I don't want to get it spoiled.
The New York.
In all of hockey.
I honestly think it's the best. I mean, it's annoying. It's annoying when you're on the other side of it, but it's honestly
Brindley,
so good.
No Perreault.
I hate it.
No Brindley,
Stop.
no Perreault. Stop it. No, they do have a good goal song. Stop it. Here we go. Here we go.
Thank God.
Uh-oh. Don't.
Why'd you do that?
Sorry, Daniel.
Oh, no.
At least it's not Gavin Brindley.
Good pick. It's a really good pick.
Great pick.
Again, he's got at least 2 years of college ahead of him.
Well, I no longer
really good
like
pick.
Gabe Perreault.
Oh, no. That ain't fun.
Wow.
Fatality.
What is that now? Number 23. The second highest scoring player in the draft.
Yep, and The Athletic, I believe it was The Athletic, actually had him mocked at 23 to the Rangers. So this, again, he was a guy that could have went anywhere. There were a lot of those in this draft, and there still are a lot of those in this draft. But from my own personal perspective, I'm very surprised that he fell this far because, like Daniel said, second highest scoring player in the draft.
That was legitness.
Yeah.
Wow.
What? The sound effects, and I love it. I love it. It keeps it interesting. But man, it's a good pick by the Rangers. It's a real good pick. Right. The hometown crowd of Nashville back up again. Where do you think they're going to go?
Who was Nashville's first pick again?
Matthew Wood.
Yes.
Which was the home run. That was a home run pick.
I could see them going Quentin Musty here.
I could see that as well.
I'm just like,
Yeah, nice pick by the Rags.
I say it's not fun seeing that team with that jersey without making a good selection.
Now that he's a New York Ranger, I think Gabe Perreault is the weakest player in this draft. He's never going to touch the NHL.
I think he's horrible. Scoring what? I think his size is bad. I think he's slow. I think his shot's overrated.
Yeah.
I mean,
he can't play defense.
You have to be doing, for as much as it hurts me to say, you have to be doing something right with those numbers. 132 points in 63 games.
Oh, 100%. It's just he's a Ranger, so we have to badmouth him.
Yeah.
You know?
But
he's now an enemy of breaking the ice.
Yeah.
Number one enemy.
He's an enemy of the show. You understand that, right?
Yeah. Add him to the list of breaking the ice enemies.
Mm-hmm.
163.
I would say, who do we have on that list?
Oh my God.
Who do we have on that
Jordan Bennington was one.
Jordan
of them.
Bennington, that's a big one.
The guy from Boston, the Miller, what's his name?
I know who you're talking about.
I know who you're talking about.
The guy who was involved in some stuff we're not allowed to talk about.
Don't bring that up. Yeah. But he's absolutely on the list.
Yeah, absolutely.
No Trouba?
Trouba's on the list.
Trouba's
absolutely on the list.
Martian.
Everyone involved in facilitating the Tanner Jeannot trade.
That's who's on the list. Number 86 on the Devils is on the list.
Anybody on the Winnipeg Jets because Connor talks about them too much and gives them too much credit.
How about Vancouver's entire ownership and management group?
The entire city of Vancouver.
That's absolutely on the list. What else? What's that? Who else is on the? What's that? Who else? Who else? It's not a very long.
Connor's trying to say something.
Oh, really? I didn't even hear him.
I knew we were forgetting someone.
Yeah, the intramural wrestling number one. I mean, it's the end of the season. It's the end of the semester, so I can now talk about him. Terrible. The worst refs I've ever seen when it came to hockey. We don't care about our sportsmanship rating. You might as well have put blind people out there and it would have called the game better. We literally had to teach them the rules. They didn't know what offsides was. They couldn't tell what a crease was when it was drawn out and it was literally chalk. They literally drew it out in chalk and they couldn't tell if a ball was behind it or not. And they made it, which is crazy. The nets were small, so if you had someone big and you had someone that ate a little bit too much McDonald's playing goalie, you had no room to shoot the ball. It's terrible. One of our games we played after it rained and it was slick, and we almost all broke our ankles because of it. Just no safety whatsoever. The one game that got postponed, we knew just under an hour before when it was raining the entire day. We all ended up almost showing up anyway. It was a real mess. And to top it off, I'm a little bit salty because I got thrown out.
They should all be fired from their minimum wage job.
As I said on the court.
Yeah.
I would say, they had to stop. I would say they thought they had to stop. They were rooting for a mercy. They were really rooting for They were literally rooting for the other team to score just so they could get out 6 minutes early. When they weren't doing that and they could have got out those 6 minutes, they would have got the full hour of pay. They got the extra hour of pay.
And any time you have the opposing team go up to a ref and say, you made a horrible call, right? Like the opposing team who benefit from it, and the ref laughs it off and goes, whatever. You probably shouldn't be doing that job. But.
Yeah, and then you had kids from Pike trying to rizz up the scorekeepers during the game, and that ended up helping.
What an NHL Draft show! Let's go.
Just terrible, absolutely terrible. Ugh, it's got to be better next. It's got to be better next year.
Well, here we go. The pick is in for the Nashville Predators.
That's a good segue.
That's
a good segue.
Next year we got baseball or softball.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm gonna announce this one when it pops up.
Okay.
I want to be
Let's hear it.
The bearer of the news.
Let's hear things.
Is that?
It is.
Is that like your thing? Is that your newest
what?
Your hope? Is that your hopes and dreams to announce a pick?
Nah, I honestly could care less.
Could you?
That's hilarious, actually.
Here we are.
All right, Barry Trotz. Damn, he's really taking in this. He is really taking
Barry
this
Trotz is ready.
Well, what is it?
Drum roll.
Come on, we need the announcement. Let's go. Come on, Dan.
With the 24th selection in the 2023 National Hockey League Draft, the Predators of Nashville, our home crowd, have selected...
You don't even know.
Tanner Molendyk.
Is that it?
Tanner Molendyk.
There you go.
There we go.
Is it actually? I don't know.
It is Tanner Molendyk. Why would you not trust me? It
hasn't even popped up on the screen yet.
Why would you not trust? I will bet you everything right now, AJ.
There we go. How did you know that before?
Bang.
His
I
chat.
can see the future.
It's his chat.
I can see the
It's his
future.
chat.
Ooh, the chat didn't say anything.
No, I got a notification.
Okay.
He was ranked
I
at
didn't trust him.
48 here.
Let's
Let's
what
see.
you call a reach.
He's a defenseman, so he's.
Ryan, what's your thoughts?
I don't know enough about this player.
He was not one of the top 40 that I scouted.
He's like a
Not one of the top 40 I scouted.
He's like a smaller version of Kevin Ball in terms of production in this league, which is not good because Kevin Ball's main calling card is his size.
You know what Tanner Molendyke which I picked in these 3 hours that we have on the air? You know what this means? I did not do enough prep work. He was not one of the top 40, 45 players I scouted. He was not in that list.
I didn't do any prep work.
I'm
not gonna lie.
You're welcome for this, then.
Yeah, dude, I wouldn't know.
Justin, could you not have said that 8 minutes later?
Hey, but you got to give Barry Trotz,
yeah,
like some leeway.
Mm-hmm.
He's
you obviously see something.
Been a really good coach in this league for a long time, and now he's just getting his foot in the door with the management side. But he knows, being on the coaching side, he knows what he wants, and I think that if we give it time, this could end up being a pretty good pick. But right now, it's off the board.
I'm a little confused about the pick, at least taking defense, because I feel like they're kind of like that's like their strength at the moment, right? They have Roman Josi as their top guy there. They have Dante Fabro, Ryan McDonough, Tyson Berry. So it seems like they have their decor is really strong. So I'm surprised. I feel like their biggest problem last season was offense. They have the goaltender, one of the best goalies in the league in Saros. So I feel their offensive ability was really lacking a lot last season, which is why they came short when it came to making the postseason.
To kind of combat that a little bit, and to kind of play a little bit of devil's advocate on that, I do agree that their biggest problem last year was offense, and they kind of drafted one of the more NHL ready players in this draft, in Matthew Wood, as a forward that can help do that. And like I said, it's hard to predict 24 months down the road what your true needs are going to be. They obviously saw something in Molendyke that made him make this pick. So this is kind of an upside pick. It's a pick that it either can work really well, can either work really bad, but it's a pick that it's a high risk, high reward selection, and it's also a selection to where in 2 to 3 years they might really need a blue chip defensive prospect. And that could be him. It could be.
How old is Roman Josi?
See, he's getting up there.
Because I feel like this could be kind of like a security blanket. Not that Tanner Molendyke is going to be able to do what Roman Josi does.
33.
Yeah, so I think they're using that as a way to bolster up their decor once Yosi's gone. Not saying he's going to be able to replace him, but I think that's where their vision is. I just don't like the pick. I don't think he's anything special whatsoever. His number, nothing really stands out. Some scouts think he's an elite skating defenseman, but he's not really offensive. He's more of a sound positional guy, which could work out well for an NHL team.
Could.
As like a bottom pairing guy. Think of like a better version of Brendan Smith. More like Brendan Smith in his prime when he was serviceable NHL defenseman, but that's not someone you take in the first round.
Yep. Absolutely. But we got about 4 minutes left of our show. So really quickly before we sign it off with a sort of give your favorite storyline today. Give your storyline to where maybe it's your favorite pick, something that didn't happen, something that was off the board that kind of wowed you. Give me something tonight that really caught your eye.
I say for the New York Rangers, I'm looking at a lot has just not gone their way as of late. I'm looking at more of a team-based thing. They were trying to get to Tyler Toffoli, didn't happen. Their cap situation is a total mess. Something had to go their way at some point to give this fan base at least somewhat morale. And I feel like this is really what it did. Getting a guy like Perreault, a guy who is a second has the second most points in this draft. So I think it was a great pick and a guy who's going to make an instant impact when he comes to the NHL in a year or two.
Daniel, what's the story?
I was going to say Perreault, but with that, I'll go with the Arizona Coyotes just making a fool of themselves this entire draft. They had 2 opportunities and they went way off the board for both of them. So I just think that they could have done so much more with their opportunity, and they did not. They passed up on Michkov initially, then they passed up on Perot a second time to get guys who we weren't even familiar with. That's how far off they were. So I think that's a big storyline. Arizona continues to be the laughingstock of the NHL, and hopefully one of these prospects does pan out so they can have fun going to school.
Yep. Ryan, what about you? What's the one thing that caught your eye today?
I really think it was Zach Benson. This guy had 98 points, and I said a stat before on how under 18 points in the WHL in the last 5 years, the only person who had more than him was Bedard. And I think him falling all the way to 13, a lot of those GMs, especially Arizona, are going to regret that. And I think the Buffalo Sabres, who already have a really young and good core, that I think Buffalo is a playoff team next year, if I'm being totally honest. But I think adding a guy like Zach Benson to that is kind of like the cherry on top. He's a really, really good player, and he's going to be for Buffalo for a really long time.
For myself, it was the fact that there's 0 trades. Not a single trade happened today. And
yeah.
And we're 25 picks in. There could be one that happens once we get off the air. Our luck, that's going to happen. But the fact that there are 0 trades today, after a lot of them were rumored early in the day, just shows that just teams couldn't get anything done, and it's kind of weird, because like this usually doesn't happen, and this draft was viewed to be as one of like the better drafts in a while. So the fact that we didn't get a trade, kind of weird. It kind of caught my eye a little bit. But lastly, we got a minute left on the show, guys. How'd you like it? This is really fun. How'd you like it today?
It was a blast. I mean, we've never. This is really the first time we've done live coverage of anything. I mean, a couple times like small things broke when we were on the air, but we got to cover the whole first round, and not just any first round, the one with Connor Bedard, a generational talent. So I think that's something that we'll remember forever. I think it's something for Breaking the Ice to build off of as a show, and we'll continue to do better things in the future.
I thought the live coverage was the best part about it. I mean, we haven't, like Dan said, we haven't done anything like this. And I'm like trying to like think of like other ideas now, like stuff that we could do in the future. Like look at like free agency. Like imagine we could do like a live coverage of free agency on day one.
For sure.
That'd be awesome. So I don't know.
Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, I just want to thank the guys for having me on. AJ's been talking about having me on for a while, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, kind of getting my foot in the door with this stuff. So, again, just thanks to all the guys at Breaking the Ice for having me on.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure having y'all on. It was a pleasure having y'all listen to us. This is WMSC with that 90.3, Upper Montclair. This is Breaking the Ice.